This presentation is made possible by these amazing individuals and organizations. Whether it was through Patreon, Super Chats, Super Stickers, or by watching, liking, and commenting, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Retro Nerd Girl, and I'm broadcasting live from the International Science Fiction Space Station. And I welcome you here today for this final finale, episode 8 review of Ahsoka, and for the first season of that show. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the headlines or some things I thought were really interesting for us to discuss today about the entertainment business and, how things are going in modern times. Let's see. It's been a nice morning, I would say. A very nice morning. Just a little bit disheveled, if you don't mind. I, like it got really warm. I'm putting on my lights here. It got really warm, and then it cooled down. So like my allergies are like, oh God. My allergies, are just a little bit disheveled. It's activated, but then it cooled down a little bit. So it's kind of wild. But you guys are talking about the weather as well. So let's go to the comments and see what you guys have to say. Just so glad that you guys are able to make it in this morning to chat with me. Of course, I was the first comment today to let you guys know things were looking good this morning. And we officially, the first comment was a Unicorn Rampant Studio, who says is waving retro and the retrogrades. Ooh, I like that, retrogrades. Definitely want to hear from you guys to see if retrogrades may be something you guys would like as uh as a warm kind of name for us, the crew here. The crew, yeah. And Brogu is my second one up, says good morning everyone. Good morning retro nerd girl, hope everyone is having a great day today. Temperatures here in Houston is at 82 degrees with some rain today. When that should cool things off, and no longer in the 100s and past that amount. That's pretty insane. But yeah, for this time of the year, just a little cool off is probably nice. And Unicorn Rampant Sue says, crazy seems like a cool down for you, Brogo. It should hit 84 today in Pittsburgh. Topsy turvy. Yeah, it's been in the 80s, but today I'm in the 50s. So we had a drastic cool down. Had some rains last night, and that always seems to cool down things in the fall. And Keith E is here. Hello, Keith E says good morning, bro and Unicorn. Good to see you both. I guess retro is the first comment. Yes, I had things organized this morning enough to do that, and then all of a sudden I lost track of time. Yeah. So yeah, I felt like, hey, do it, do it, do it. And Keith E says it's only 73 here today. I've got the pumpkin spice out all over the place. Yes, I love pumpkin spice. Um, and I love cinnamon, pumpkin spice. I do a really cool vegan eggnog, which is like eggnog used to be my favorite thing, but I can't have eggnog anymore, or it makes me very, very sick. So I do a vegan eggnog, which is it's not exactly the same, but it's really good. It's much like my meal replacement shake. And Broga says, I love this time of year, maybe because it's mild weather here, or maybe I was born at this time of year. Oh, yeah. Always loved this time period. Yes. And am I right in assuming you have a birthday coming up soon? Um, I think I wrote it down somewhere so I could remember. But I think you have a birthday coming up, right? Um, little poet boy is here. Hello. Wow, I haven't seen you in a while since I haven't watched a single episode, but I'm here for the commentary. Well, this is the best one because it's the last show and it's the finale. And I'll give you my whole rundown of everything after I'm finished talking about the episode. And well, yes, thank you, Keith E. is letting me know that you can hear me. I should have checked that first, and I'll get it right one of these days. But thank you so much. That lets me know I'm doing something right. And Keith E says that we could be called the retreads. Yes. Let's see. And And Little Poetry Boy, Little Poet Boy says, I'm originally from Houston. And Brogu says, a fellow Houstonian, Little Poetry Boy. Cool. And Brogu says his birthday is October 13th. Okay, that is so cool. My brother's birthday is on the 17th, and a really good friend of mine's is on the 15th. Yeah, lots of really good friends that are born around October and late September. Libra, a part of the Libra sign, and that is so cool. And Broga says it's going to be a Friday the 13th. Okay, look at the little surprised face there. Yes, yes, yes. Friday the 13th is really crazy. My mom was born in on the 13th of her month, so every once in a while it's the Friday the 13th for her as well. And Brogu says Libras unite. Yeah, Libras are such a cool sign. I do love Libras. They're really awesome. All right, so now that we've gotten through this part of the morning show, let's get to the review. Now, I really were making changes all up until the last moment because I wanted to get pictures, and I didn't quite get all the pictures I wanted, so I had to kind of like uh, do some uh, editing at the last minute. So let me see if I can call it up. I did finish the slideshow, but I didn't quite get the file uploaded. So let me upload it now. There it is. See? So it's uploading now. Mhm. And let's see. Oh, it's taking an extra long time. I don't know why. Why is it taking a long time? Um, hmm. And okay, here we go. Here we go, everybody. My slideshow. Good morning, everybody. Big good morning to everyone. And we are covering, oh, yes, Ahsoka episode 8. And it's called The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. And this, my friends, is where we get the entire idea focus for this series and just Dave Filoni's ideas altogether involving Star Wars. Okay. So, what he's doing, even though a lot of these had, George Lucas had many, many inspirational um, sources for his material. Uh, he never went too far into he had the fantasy, but he didn't go too far into the fantasy. I mean, I don't know if you remember the first poster for Star Wars, how that kind of looked like a fantasy poster. And it was so cool. And people have been you know recreating that kind of fantasy poster ever since. But in that poster really looked more like some of the covers of Conan books and um, uh, I would say like the books and some of the comic books from that I believe Marvel was doing Conan. If I'm not uh, sure about that, please let me know if I got that wrong. But Conan had uh, some comic books in the 70s, and all those illustrators from the 70s, like Frazetta and Mobius, they had a lot of these kind of really interesting cover like illustration. And that's kind of you get the flavor of that from just looking at that first poster from George Lucas. And so we're getting sort of this harkening back to that, but more skewed. So it almost changes Star Wars in a way, the way Dave Filoni envisioned Star Wars. So we're getting an idea of that in that kind of look. So of course, this episode was referencing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So I did kind of like the title. I thought it was interesting. I do have some notes here that my eyes may divert to on occasion to to resources. I wrote a lot of notes. I wrote like 4 pages of notes, and then I have an additional 2 pages of questions, and each line completely filled to the brim with like desperate questions that I have about this series. Um, and let's see. Um, and looks like Brogu and Little Poetry Boy are bonding in the chat. So awesome to see. And Unicorn says, yes, Marvel, Conan, Barry, Windsor, Smith, and John Buscema, plus those you mentioned. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I didn't get that wrong because I do love myself some Conan, um, and that was like seeing those images when I was a kid was just so incredible, and influential, inspiring. Inspiring is the word. So if you were exposed to that kind of stuff, you were definitely inspired to make your own creations. And I believe that first poster for Star Wars really felt in that flavor. Felt in that flavor. But as I was saying, uh, Dave Filoni is really diving into this other realm of fantasy, with witches and special swords, all that stuff. That's his creation, or that's his divergence from what we're usually used to from Star Wars. So he has been able to get the look of Star Wars and make it feel like Star Wars, the Star Wars world, but also add these other supernatural elements that you might find in other genres, but especially fantasy. Is it something that everybody likes? No, I don't think I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think it's for everybody. Um, and that's why we have so many mixed reviews for this uh season in general. Some people are like, "Oh, mwah, mwah, mwah. It's wonderful. 10 stars. Absolutely perfect. This is a masterpiece. Best show ever." And I'm like, "What?" I don't share those sentiments. Then there's other people who's like, "Worst show ever. Horrible. Light it on fire. Um, it's trash." And I'm like, "Well, I don't quite agree with that. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm in the middle. Because I feel like repeating the same concepts with Star Wars is definitely proving not to be working anymore. Oh, and I don't know if there's any way for them to recreate that magic again from the originals, especially since we really miss those characters. And we really love those characters, right? We really love them, and so it's hard to recapture that magic again. So this is new Star Wars. This is new Star Wars. This is the direction Star Wars is going to. It's not going anywhere because there's too many people who are liking it, and um, I'm not against that, and I'm not like, on the bandwagon of like, yeah, let's, bow down to Filoni. But a lot of people are ready to, like, do that, and I'm like, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm like, I do see some really cool things here, but I'm also, w very, very realistic with this. Now, as far as this episode is concerned, oh, this is totally out of order. As far as this episode is concerned, I actually really liked it. I really did. This is probably the best episode in this because it actually answers a lot of questions. But still, there's a lot more questions to be answered, and they don't answer it at all. And I'm like, not even a little bit, not even a little bit. Are you going to answer that question, or like a whole slew of questions? Are you going to just leave on the floor? Give us some satisfaction there, and they don't. And so it feels like if you're eating a burger and you ordered a regular burger at at a place, and they gave you a veggie burger instead, and not even the ones that imitate meat, but the ones with like broccoli inside and beans. So you're like, what the heck is this? The texture is completely off. So it's like it's not what what you really want is a full story, but you're getting something else with like missing parts. Like they forgot the sauce and they forgot the lettuce, right? They forgot all the stuff that you want on your burger. Or like it just doesn't feel like it's a complete story with questions that could be answered later or even be filled in with your own imagination. And that's the part that's really difficult to give this thing a big, like, two thumbs up. It's fantastic, all the way, amazing, but it has good merit. It has something there. There's something there. I'm not, um, I don't think it's important um, to phase that out and to pretend like, hey, it's all garbage. It's not. There is something there. Let's see. Little Poetry Boy says, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a casual fan, but a big fan of sci-fi and fantasy. Would I enjoy Ahsoka? No. I don't think, well, maybe, I look, you might be able to enjoy it. There's a lot of interesting concepts there, but the concepts are so inwoven into other stories that you have had to have seen before. So if you didn't see Clone Wars, the animated series, and you didn't see Rebels, the animated series, you'd be kind of confused at the stuff that is being presented. And even after seeing those things, you may still not like it because you may be going, well, why aren't the characters in this series like they are represented in that and those series? Because it feels awkwardly different, and it's just the medium. I think the medium is so different, and we have a director and well, we have a showrunner who is used to animated series. He can build up these things and keep you hanging on for the next episode. That's not something that Star Wars Disney at this time can really afford. So you can't just walk off the street and watch this and be like, okay, I understand everything. There's too many layers here for you to just w- come walk on in and understand. Andor is one that you probably could come off the street um and enjoy, but there isn't a lot of fantasy in that, and it is a sci-fi story, but there's a lot more drama. So that feels like a space opera. That really, like, Andor feels like a space opera. And so that's kind of, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to someone, um, and unless you're willing to, do the research to go back and find more of this information on the things that are missing from the story or that they're not explaining in the story. So that's the problem with Ahsoka, and that's a problem with me recommending it to people outrightly. I can't just say, "Hey, go see this. You know, it's going to be amazing." Like Mandalorian season 1, see that. It's actually entertaining, and when you don't have to do homework to find out, to know about that. And Brogu says, I think one of the problems that Star Wars has is that there are too many hands in it, and I think so too. There are too many hands in it, but this particular story is supposed to be Dave Filoni's brainchild. And a lot, like I said, there are a lot of people who are finding extreme enjoyment out of this. They are loving it. They are just eating it up. It is the best thing that they've seen from Star Wars. Um, and I don't know, I think the reason for that is because when they saw it, they were youngsters and they had a big impression on them to see Clone Wars and to see Rebels. And now that they're getting live action versions of these characters, it means the world to them. And the only comparison I have to that is Masters of the Universe movie. Like, I love that show so much that I'm willing to look at the movie that came out with Dolph Lundgren that is completely panned. Um, that I can look at that and be like, "Yeah, it's not a great movie, but I love it. I love it, love it so much." Because finally seeing those characters for the first time live action was amazing to me. Of course, I wanted a lot more, but I enjoyed it for what it was. So I think there's a lot of people who are in that boat. They're like, "Yeah, this is live action. That's what we're getting. This is what we've got." Um, and they're fascinated about all the things that were in those shows that are appearing as Easter eggs in this show. There's like this is filled to the gills with Easter eggs, tons of Easter eggs, and setting up storylines for things that maybe we may never see or things that will be happening in the future. And so that is basically what Mandalorian season 3 and this show has as its main problem is all of this world building, Easter egging. You got to go back to older shows to find out the information. Like a lot of those shows I saw, but it didn't have the sticking power for me like that. Didn't doesn't have the same emotional impact for me. And Brogu says when it was just George Lucas, everything was running fine. Well, I mean that's if you love the prequel, if you love the prequels too. I mean he was definitely, um, I think the original stories are incredible. At least the first two. There is some questions about, um, the third movie. But then the prequels kind of had some issues, big issues there story wise that didn't really capture people like it could have. And so I don't think George Lucas really had the answer either. Um, that may be the source of the problem. And Brogu says the first Star Wars movie that I saw in 1977 was one of the most magical moments of my life. Yes, me too. I will never forget the wonderful feeling that I got from watching that movie. It was incredible. It was incredible, and everybody loved it. They went crazy for it. I mean, there were people waiting, to see that movie from blocks and blocks away. Like, I think they had the movie in the theater for, like, half a year, and it was just incredible. What a movie. What a movie that just, reached all age groups. The whole family could enjoy that. And, little poet boy says, I wasn't born yet." Yeah, it was a while back, and Roga says, "There's nothing that comes close to the original Star Wars trilogy today. Too many chefs in the kitchen screwing things up." Yeah, and I think Disney may have that problem. I think it's a Disney problem, and, I'm looking really forward to the Loki, season 2 TV show. I saw the first season, enjoyed it, but I hope that this whole formula situation that I'm seeing repeated from show to show is not present in that one. Um, and, Unicorn Rampant Studio says, "Good analogy, R&D. A black bean burger is not even pretend meat, it's just gross." Yes, and you know what's so funny? I have a black bean burger in the fridge right now, and I use those burgers to add to other meals, like, as, like, filler, bec it's so funny we're talking about filler, because it's like, you they don't have even the right texture, so, yeah, that's why I would compared it because it's like it's not quite satisfying. Um, and Barry On says, "Well, sometimes Lucas needs help on dialogue." And that's the problem with this series as well. And, Dave Filoni is sort of the protege of George Lucas and has carried on a lot of his ideas and is the only one at Disney that's even, like, willing to, like, entertain George's ideas, because they work together. So I think there is if we're going to romanticize George Lucas, this is his, like, uh, this is kind of like his, um, protege, the best one you could get, right? And it's not I I mean, I don't know if it's the perfect pick, and I don't know if there is a perfect pick. I don't know if there is a perfect pick because the the fandom is scattered. If you can have a product like this come out and there's like one group says it's fantastic, a masterpiece, another group says that it's horrible, and you have got people in the middle says I enjoyed it for what it was, and there's definite issues in the story, but I did enjoy it on the most part. It's like where the it's just it's a fractured environment. And so it's really hard to know what's going to be an absolute hit. Um, and I, I keep going back to the Mandalorian because there was something exciting and fresh about the Mandalorian. And every time I hear the theme song for The Mandalorian, I just perk up. It's just like The Mandalorian. Where is he at? I love him. I love him so much. Even after the debacle of season 3, I just think the character in season 1 and 2 just it was so good. Was so good. They were doing something great there, and could have continued with that, but I don't know if they really know. But what I don't want them to do with Dave Filoni, and I was going to discuss this later, is that I don't want them to say, okay, you do everything now. I think he's a good idea person. I think he's got great ideas. I do like the intermingling of all of these different genres in there. but I think also he needs someone to help him with dialogue and to build character um, development through the dialogue, through the much quicker. It takes him a while to get to the point. And I think this episode, we finally got answers for a lot of things, like Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship. What was that, and what happened? Well, it turns out that the Mandalorian attack, the night of a thousand tears, where everybody was pretty much wiped out, um, and the entire surface of the planet turned to glass. Sabine was getting her training, and Ahsoka felt that maybe she would have used her powers, being a Jedi, for evil, would have turned into a Sith, and so she stopped the training. A great reason to stop the training, um, but that would have been great to hear on episode one. That would have been excellent to hear in episode one. Hearing it now is sort of like, what was the holdup? Because if we had gotten that in episode one, then we wouldn't have to be dealing with it now, and we can move on to another layer of some other part of the story that we needed to know. Like Balin Skull is hearing things which we have never heard what he hears. We don't know we don't have any clue of what he's saying that he heard. And we still don't know by the end what exactly is calling to him. Is it a man's voice? Is it a female voice? Is it not a voice, but is it a tone? What is it that's calling him? And why was it so strong that he needed to leave the galaxy he was in to get there? And also, why was it so strong that he abandoned his apprentice? There's a lot in it. There's a lot to be asked. I'm sorry, I keep going on and on. Little poet boy says, "Don't see any animated stuff." Oh, I didn't see any animated stuff. Yes, it's hard. Even at that time, didn't even see it when it came out. As it came out, it was really marketed to kids, but it's actually kind of heavy. I don't know how they allowed the kids to watch all the people that were being killed and stuff in that series. But also the way it was drawn was really distracting to me, especially at the time. It's very stylized, the way the animation looks, and so that animation did not gel with me very much. But yeah, I hear you. Unicorn Rampant Studio says, also like a portobello burger is really delicious, but not like a burger. It's a mushroom. Yeah, it's a mushroom. I do love. Okay, okay. Portobello mushrooms and me. Mm. Yeah, I can cook them up. I can cook them up. I love mushrooms. And Unicorn Empathy says, the intended audience isn't the critical audience. Yes, I don't wanna belittle anybody who likes this at all. They may be critical, but they may be seeing something that we're not seeing, based on, um, having having a deeper memory layer of certain things. Like, there are certain people who were able to see things here that I couldn't see, because I'm not emotionally attached to those things. Sure, I saw them a long time ago, but it doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm like gonna catch up with these comments. Well, poet boy says the best space opera is Battlestar Galactica. I suppose you mean the more recent one, um, which I have a gripe with, but yeah, yeah, it is a good series. It is a good series. I do have a gripe with it, but Virgo says Battlestar Galactica was really great, but Star Wars, the original trilogy, was something special. Oh yeah, it was incredible, and it had drama. It had romance, which nobody wants to do anymore. It had intrigue. It just it had spoke a lot about friendships. I mean, incredible, incredible stuff. With deeper layers, psychological meanings of life's lessons and things like that, and it's really good. Little poet boy says, "Yes, Star Wars special is special, but would you consider Star Wars a space opera?" That's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a space opera. That's what George Lucas calls it, because it did have it had drama, especially Empire Strikes Back. That is definitely an opera, because it does have those emotional tones in it, like you would have like in a soap opera where you have your characters really dealing with dramatic issues, and that's another reason why I like Andor. It the characters and the emotional ties to those characters, the you understand why characters are doing the things that they're doing. You understand why you would do the same, right? You would do the same if you were in their shoes, or if you were those characters. That's um the in my assumption, like when I look at characters in a story, the ones that affect me the most are the ones that do the things that is most likely for them to do, but not ones things that I am expecting them to do all the time. I know their reasonings for doing things. I know their motivations. So if they surprise me, I'm like, oh, yeah, of course they would try something unusual like this because they're motivated by X, Y, and Z. And that's a lot of the motivations in this season was skewed, left into mystery, for like even your main character should not be a mystery to you. And it that's part of the problem. Like I said, tones of geniuses in this. Like moments where I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. Wow, this is good. I love to see this. But then there are spectacular moments that maybe uh, are supernatural and also out of the range in which we ever thought the force could be used, or any any like Ahsoka going into space and floating to another ship and slicing it in half and then jumping back on her ship, like that kind of, without a jetpack, by the way. That kind of thing is where I'm, the verisimilitude or the thing that makes it realistic is out the window. And so, really after seeing that scene in particular, I was very much aware of what I was watching. I was like, "Oh, this is not playing by any of the Star Wars rules that we know of at all." That was what, episode 3? Um, I I think that's, like, one of the worst episodes, by the way. Um, there was a lot of good stuff in it, like, a little battle, a little this, a little that. The story moves forward a little. I would say about, if you can condense that entire episode to 10 minutes, excellent episode. Got a lot of junk in there that we didn't need, okay? A lot of junk, and obviously, that scene in particular, uh that I'm talking about, the writer was in a position in which they did not know how to write themselves out of it. So they came up with something completely ridiculous. And that's a problem for, for people to believe the story. And Rogue says, I have to remember in 1977, there was nothing like Star Wars that was on film. Yes, there was nothing like it at all. It was brand new, and a lot of movies after that were like, even though a lot of people had ideas for science fiction movies, a lot of studios wouldn't even allow them to make those movies unless it was like a low budget film studio because of the cost of making these movies, the special effects involved, and also um, people thought science fiction was junk. It was like it was stupid. It wasn't, it wasn't realistic. So why go to see some fantasy or some space, science fiction movie? And so it was very difficult to get. Um, In fact, that movie, Star Wars 1977, was an independently made movie in many ways. It did finally get Warner Brothers, was it Warner Brothers or was it Fox? Uh, I'm not sure if it was Warner Brothers at first, and they refused, and then they went to Fox. But either which way, they had those, problems getting started, so a lot of this stuff was really on the fumes of George Lucas's madness, if you will, and, just trying to get this movie out. It was considered a movie that was gonna be a flop, and it just ended up doing the complete opposite. People latched onto it. It actually came together like lightning in a bottle, and from there, a lot of other movies were able to get made at that point that were science fiction. A lot of people compared them, start comparing every science fiction movie to Star Wars. And in many ways, many of them tried to copy the success. They were like, hey, look, that's a successful one. Let's try to copy that success. But we have a story that else that we want to tell. So it's really, and even to this day, everybody still compares science fiction movies, all science fiction movies, to Star Wars because it is all the way up there as far as quality and just what it was able to do. It was incredible. What an incredible movie. Bruce says I would definitely wouldn't. Would consider Star Wars a space opera. It is the ultimate space opera, good versus evil. And Kingdom of Nerves is here. Hello, everyone. Yes, hi. And let's see. I'm sorry if I'm going off too much. Grogu says I didn't really care for the prequels that much, but they were way better than the sequel trilogy. That I agree. And another thing too about the prequels is that there was lots of good stuff there. There was lots of good stuff there. It it didn't work for me as a complete storytelling device. I mean, there was a narrative there that I did like and enjoy, and the idea of it is fantastic. Lots of incredible visuals that were achieved, and special effects achievements that were groundbreaking. But at the same time, I left it feeling a little um, negative towards Star Wars in general, and just I was done with it. I was like, okay, this is it. Never gonna go to the movie theater to see another Star Wars movie, and I haven't yet. I haven't gone to the theater to see another Star Wars movie, and it just from I was from all the way up here to like meow 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 meow. So not so much anymore. But Obi-Wan brought me back. The TV series, and here I am talking about Star Wars again. And Little Poet Boy says, interesting. Always saw it as less as a space opera, more of a space action. But I see the dramatics that space operas traditionally offers. Yeah, and I wouldn't really mind another space opera out there. Um, not just a science fiction one, but one that's actually set in space. And there's a lot of opportunity out there for writers and creators to come up with something fresh and new. And Kingdom of Nerds, I agree. There are so many plot holes in the original and sequel and prequel trilogies. Lucas wasn't perfect as people like to remember. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, remember the reason why he gave up the, Disney was really because people were so critical of those prequels, and he kind of was like, okay, I can't win, I can't win for losing. Also, he was also pressured into making those prequels. He was done with the series. He was done with the story, and everybody kept on asking, "Oh, are you gonna make some more? Are you gonna make more Star Wars?" And I think what everybody really wanted, of course, was a continuation of the original series. But I think he felt like that story was done. And and technically he was correct. That story was, they won the battle. God, they won it. They beat the Empire. That was good versus evil, good triumph. But um, all of these sort of retreads, if you will, back to like, okay, let's dig up all these characters and let's continue in this into the future with a new threat, is like so soon. Like, I would have been really cool with a story set like 100 years in the future, where it's like, oh, the tales of Luke and Leia and Han, and their, the Jedi school that Luke made. Like, I would have said it so far into the future that it's like they are a legend. It's like tales of the legend of these people. And I think it's, if you wanted to show them as older adults, and as they were in the sequels, yes, you can show them all together. You can show what their life ended up being like, as in like a vignette, but move forward. And I think for us, we're all sort of like trying to figure out, why did this new order all of a sudden show up so quickly after the demise of the empire? And aren't people insane for wanting the empire to come back? And so these stories that we're seeing, especially Mandalorian season 3, Ahsoka, these are tying together, which Dave Filoni is very much involved in, is tying together the concept and the idea that the new republic is defunct, and that is the reason why the new order is able to step in. So all of these intertwining stories from the series are just kind of to support the sequels and that outcome. Uh, and the question always arises, and we are all very much interested in knowing, where's Ahsoka um, in the sequel, during the sequel times? Where is all of these characters? Where's Sabine? Where is Ezra? Where is Jason? Where are they during these times? And where's Grogu and the Mandalorian? Why weren't they involved in these battles? And so that is, uh, I maybe they're all in this other universe at the point in time of this um, huge, the sequel movies. So I'm not sure if that works for me. I don't know if that works for anybody, but there's got to be some kind of explanation to go with all of these characters that were set up. What happened to them? So we're all curious, but the answer i- is is still a mystery and it's something that they're filling in along the way. I can see that's where they're heading off to. And Kingdom Nerd says, the ones that matter the most is the general audience and casual fans. Hardcore older Star Wars fans won't be around forever. New fans are needed. That's what the company is banking on, and I think the problem with that is not just um, there's a lot of old school fans, and there's a lot of people who are in their 40s and in their 30s and in their 20s that dislike all of this stuff. They really don't. Um, and it's surprising to me. I thought it would always be much older, but and here's the thing, all of and here's where you're right. All of the people who I've seen said, "Oh, I love this." They're all skewing a lot younger. They're skewing a lot younger. Um, so it's about, I think they've got about a third of the fan base for these movies. About a third of the fan base. And yeah. So uh even if they're like, we're looking for new fans, you can't walk off the street and watch Ahsoka. You can't. You may be like, oh yeah, that's a cool battle scene. You won't know what's going on. You won't know what's going on. And I'm not sure that that's enough to be interested enough to go do the research to find out, oh, this is even much deeper than what I see here. That that sword is, that's not just any sword. This it belongs to this person. So it takes some research in order to understand it. The piece that I'm having a problem with this series in particular is just the way it's written and the as far as the dialogue, the order of events that are occurring in the film, in the series, and that's really the thing that's throwing off the narrative. And if they can master the narrative, no matter what story they tell, and if it's like brand new, um, I think it can work. Like I think, like I was saying, The Mandalorian, that it was new. Like no one had heard of The Mandalorian before. Nobody had seen Grogu before. It was brand new. It was so brand new. And so that proves that you can introduce new elements, new story ideas, new, fresh new blood, and also at the same time entertain a wide variety of Star Wars fans. And so that's what they have to master, how to get, not going to get every single person, but get a lot more people involved in this thing, because I see a version of this series where it actually is compelling and you characters are so good that you cry when they die or when something happens to them. Um, and it is really about writing better dialogue, putting the order of things in a different spots, and setting up your characters much earlier, instead of waiting to the last episode to finally reveal their motivations and their thoughts, feelings, so on and so forth. Um, so that has been my dilemma with this. But yeah, it hardcore fans are not the priority, and they're not going to be around forever. But hopefully, I have another, knock on wood, I have another 30 years left. We all have another like 40, 50 years left. And we should, as a paying customer, should be able to say, hey, look, I want to see a series that's actually good for my paid subscription, and get that. Like Andor. Andor's fresh. It's good though. It's good. It's definitely good. But a lot of people thought it was trash. Okay, here's another thing. A lot of people did not like Andor. Andor is an acquired taste. Um, and that was kind of weird to hear, like, oh, it's so slow and it's so boring. I was like, wow, this stuff is really compelling. Um, but yeah, it's not for everybody. I wouldn't recommend Andor to everybody. Um, and let's see. Uh, Brogu says, here's an example of how George Lucas was good at what he did. You know how we say that in Star Wars the dialogue is slow. George would always tell the actors, okay, that's great, but do it faster. Yes, faster and more intense, he used to always say. But I think he also, um, I think, yeah, he had a problem with dialogue, but the way he was writing dialogue for for that movie kind of worked with understanding the world a lot more. And I think almost all of the dialogue for the prequels is um, he was great at writing the dialogue for the Emperor. It was when he had to do love scenes and characters relating to each other that was really awkward. Um, so and uh, yeah, so yeah, he good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. But didn't have the structure or the fail safe of somebody saying, "Hey, George, I think you should do it this way," and actually him taking that advice. You know what I mean? It's um, you've got to have when you have somebody who's a dreamer, like I've got this idea for this really cool idea, and you got all of these awesome ideas, but you need somebody to structure it a little bit along the way and make it into a story narrative that people can just eat up. I think the perfect blend of that was definitely Empire Strikes Back. The way uh, that movie portrayed the characters just really it really highlighted the characters. I really fell in love with them strong and hard. Like, didn't love like Han more than I loved him in Empire Strikes Back. When he gets encased in carbonite, you go, oh my God, is he gonna be okay? When uh, when characters you hear Chewie, going, oh, you're like, oh man, that breaks my heart. The music is just like at that moment, it's like makes you feel emotions that you're like, yes, I'm gonna cry any moment now because this is so intense. And so it was a mixture of like the directing, of course, that was not Lucas's direction. Um, some of um, the dialogue was improvised, and then also to putting all of that together. So he has great ideas, um, and notoriously has said that he's even said that he's not the best director. And but I think he did a great job in the first one. The first one, he pulled it out of nowhere. Like, and he did American Graffiti before that, and that was that's actually has an interesting style of editing, um, not just editing, but direction and an interesting storyline altogether. But it just shows like he thinks outside the box, and sometimes you may need somebody to like reel it in a little bit, and that's where I feel like Dave Filoni needs a partner. He needs a partner. It should. I really hope that he decides like, hey, I'm gonna have a co-director on this, and Brogu says that's a real director. He knows what is good and what's bad. He knew that keeping the pace faster was better. Yes, keeping the pace faster is definitely better. Um, in the case of the first episode, yeah. Um, and notice the pacing of, is a lot different in Empire, a lot different. Kingdom of Nerds says Lucas didn't direct Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Yes, he did not direct those, and I think it was a great idea he did not um, that he did not do it. But I thought, to this day, even though I think he didn't quite enjoy the experience of working on Empire Strikes Back with the director for that movie. They came at odds with each other, but I do love the way that everything about Empire is just like it's a 10. It's a 10. Um, um, and Bruce says that's true. If the first movie didn't succeed, there would be no Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Yeah, it needed to succeed, and look, we wouldn't be getting a lot of the science fiction that we have today as well. Kingdom of Nerds says, didn't his first right re-edit the first one because it was bad? Yes, I heard that she did the editing for that movie. And I'm not sure if she was the only one who edited that movie, but she did like her edits, which is like proves to you that editing really matters, right? It really matters. And part of being a director is choosing the correct person to edit your film. So part of his job as director is to find the right editor, and he did. And they made it work. It, it They made it work. Marcia, Lucas was her name. And Rulu says, "I don't recall that, but if she did, it was at the direction of him who knew that she was great and what she did." Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying George Lucas was perfect, but he knew what he was doing. I think he was possessed, right? Because when I say possessed, I mean like he needed to make this film. Um, and the power of his um, manifestation, his desire to get Star Wars made, really made it a you know, he made things happen that was not available yet. It was not possible yet, and people worked over, around the clock to create some of the special effects he was asking for. So he was on another level of getting it done. He had a vision, and even some of the stuff that they did, he would just have them redo it again. Like, so he didn't. It wasn't completely. I know that some people have called him a hack, and that he was lucky the first time. Uh, and a lot of the stuff that he has is stolen from other pieces of materials. And yes, he has not been um is silent about the fact that he used a lot of different inspirational pieces from all over entertainment, and he's not been silent about that. And so he's freely offered his sources to everyone, and so it's really kind of I think it was a lightning in a bottle in a way, but I think also uh, he was very lucky because there's a lot of people who give a lot of dedication and love to their project, and it never sees the light of day. He also constructed this incredible deal that allowed him to really collect most of the profits for the merchandise. No one had ever done that before, so he was really groundbreaking in so many different fields, for that movie in particular. And Kingdom of Nerds says, Retro, have you ever seen Babylon 5? I think I've seen a few episodes, and I probably need to see the whole thing. Probably need to see. It didn't really call out to me when it was on air, and so yeah, that's something I would like to see. Um, and Burgo says, we have to remember, guys, Star Wars would not exist if it wasn't for George Lucas. Yes, he came up with the ideas of putting all of those things together. And Moonbeam 87 says, hi everyone. I'm back from vacay. Got loads of footage, planning to turn it into a film. Sorry for going off topic. The last Star Wars film I saw in theaters was when they killed Han. Oh no. Sorry you had to go through that, but I'm so glad you're back from vacation. Uh, um, and Moonbeam says, help the algorithm button and hit the like button. Oh, thank you so much for telling people to do that. Um, and Moonbeam also says, yeah, because Ahsoka doesn't die. I think she outlives Luke and Leia. If I'm not mistaken, my dad was a Star Wars fan. He's one with the Force. And Kingdom of Nerds says, Andor for me has been the best of Disney Plus series for me. Oh, really? Yeah, it's been wonderful. Like I do put Mando, the first season, um, parts of season 2, on a higher pedestal. But yes, Andor is so juicy, so good. I love Andor so much. I think I wish I was covering it when it was out. And Moonbeam says, I love Babylon 5. I started watching it in 1994. And says it was because of American Graffiti that George didn't want Harrison to play Indiana Jones, but William Catt and Tom Selleck didn't have the chemistry with Karen that Ford did. And Kingdom says, I have to watch the animated movie they released, heard it was amazing. Um, and Shauner says, I'm watching the second season of Babylon 5. It's okay so far, very 90s stuff. Oh, okay. Uh, Shauner. This is my first time seeing you in a live, Shauner. So good to see you. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. And let's continue. Okay, so the series, we didn't get started yet. Okay, I have my pictures are all mixed up. So it starts off with, oh my goodness, I forgot the way it starts. Okay. Um, it starts off with Morgan Elsbeth. Let's go to her. Yeah. So it starts off with Morgan Elsbeth, who gets the gift of shadows. Okay, she gets the gift of shadows, and then they give her the blade of Talzin. And if you haven't ever seen it, it's just a blade that they create out of nothing. But if you've seen Clone Wars, it is it comes from that. It's something that the witches have access to with the use of their magic. Then we have the Noti accompanying Ezra and oh, and before we get to that, Thrawn has a nice little conversation um, with Elspeth, and basically tells her that in order to allow the ship to go back to go to the regular universe or regular galaxy, I think, oh yeah, in order for the ship to go, to escape or to leave this galaxy, they need her to stay. And you can see that she's not happy about it. Um, and I think the actress is doing the best that she can with the material that she's got. And so I loved her work in this episode. It's really quite good. And I really, really wish we had more insight into her life and experiences in this series. And there was tons of time to put it in. Tons of time to put it in. And so I wish we had had that. We have uh, the witches kind of give her like a knowing look. They pass her, and she's really accepting that she is going to die on this planet, or she's going to be left on this planet because she is allowing. She has a deeper desire, and her desire is to see the witches on Dathomir thrive again. Okay, and we only know this because of a few words. Um, the parting words from Thrawn is for the Empire. So, as to tell her, like, you're doing this for the Empire. And he walks away, and she sees the witches go by. They kind of give each other like a nod, like, an approval nod. And then they go into the ship, deeper into the ship, and she's like accepts her role and what she has to do, and she says for Dathomir, and I like that a lot. I like that a lot because it really felt like finally we got a small little sliver of the birthday cake, right? A little sliver of the birthday cake. Now we know finally in episode 8, after all of this time, why she's doing what she's doing. Because I was like, why is she doing this? Why is she listening to Thrawn? Why is she doing all of this? Doing all of this to get to Thrawn, to bring him back to the her galaxy. It's because she wants to see Dathomir thrive again. And somewhere in the series, she only says, "I'm a survivor." And based on what we know about Dathomir and the witches there, they were wiped out, I believe, during the Clone Wars, and if memory serves me correctly. And so it it is in her mind, after surviving that wipeout, she wants to see her world again. Now, I'm saying all of this, but it really should have been it should have been in the series. It should have been in the series. She should have said that in the series. We should have seen that. We should have seen her home world thrived in its thriving state, and we should have seen the wipeout, and we should have seen her reaction to that, and boom, we're done. It's not that hard to imagine like a fully fledged out story where we have a background for a character. Now she does engage with Ahsoka because Ahsoka and the rest of the team have finally decided, hey, it's an emergency. These guys are going to leave. So let's go to the ship and, get on board. Finally, there's some urgency. And so they can't use the spaceship for some reason because it was working just fine. It was working just fine in the last episode, but in this episode, they are it can barely move as it's scraping against the floor of the on the ground, and underneath it are the snail people. Like, I think they're carrying it. I don't know. It was so weird. I didn't understand it. That's why this doesn't get a 10 for sure, is because there's problems within this episode, like explaining things and just understanding what is going on. But now seeing the ship, you know, Thrawn it sends out some TIE fighters out there to get the ship. They don't get the ship, so there's this whole hullabaloo about um, they have the worst aim ever. The ship is sitting right there. They can't aim. They just can't aim and hit the ship. This is the problem. This is the problem. How bad like TIE fighters and stormtroopers are. They can't even hit the ship. Like, guys, remember in Mandalorian season 3 when they just blow up Ahsoka, who was it? They blow up this castle. I mean, it was so easy. Like this time they can't do it. They just can't do it. So it's just the inconsistency is a frustrating. It's like, mm. Okay, we're gonna move on. I'm not gonna get too upset about that. But they finally like they take out the TIE fighters, and then but the ship is damaged, and so Hu Yang stays there to fix the ship. Oh, I'm missing a whole nother sequence here. There's another sequence in here that maybe I'll see it. No, no, no. Hu Yang. Okay. Hu Yang has like a little room in the ship where he's got all sorts of lightsabers and he's got like tools to make lightsabers. Ezra goes in there and he's just going through all the drawers and stuff. I'm like, how do you know where any of the things are in this, robot's drawer? Like you've never been to this room before and you're going through his stuff. Like, just ask him for the tool that you need and he'll give it to you. Anyway, so he's, like a mad scientist trying to put these things these parts together to make a lightsaber, and he basically um, uh, kind of recreates the same kind of lightsaber of his teacher, who was Kanan from the Rebel show, and and for a lot of people, they're like oohing and ahhing about this because this is special to this character, and I'm I can't I don't have the emotional draw to really feel that, but it's still like it's nice to see that see him put together his lightsaber. So I was really kind of trying to figure out why isn't he using a lightsaber? That was one of my questions, and now it's like sort of coming to me. He didn't want to take the one that Sabine had that he gave her. He wanted to make his own or find a way that he can have one of his own. And building your own lightsaber is part of the um a, sort of the tradition, and so that was something he felt like he had to do. So he put it together. Then let's see. Um Okay, and Moonbeam says, "If I'm not back when retro's done, ciao for now." Okay, we'll see you soon. And Necron is here. Hello, Necron says, "Typical Imperial gunman." Yeah, no, but it can't hit a target to save their lives. And Kingdom Nurses, think me, you, and Retro should do a Halloween special movie stream sometimes this month. Oh, that would be fun. Um, and Necron said that will rule. And Kingdom Nerd says on your channel or Retro's channel. Oh, that's cool. Whichever one works. Maybe yeah. That's whatever. I'm down. I'm down. And so he does manage to put together his lightsaber. And during this time, they're having a conversation, which I kind of like the way this was done. And I'm going to give credit to the director, Rick Fumi, Famuyima. Yeah, uh, Rick Famuyiwa. He did a great job of like interspersing the dialogue along with action, sort of like, and when I say action, I mean doing something, not necessarily fighting. So it was great. I like this scene was good. I know there's some people with some criticisms about that, but I thought it was fine because we get this some explanations for a few things. Like we finally find out why Ahsoka left Sabine. You know, as I was telling you before about the like she thought that she was going to go down the dark side because of what happened to Mandalore. And so those are things we as human beings you can understand. Oh, okay, I can understand why she would leave. Again, things for episode 1. Uh and I think that's the other part of this whole Disney um episodic thing. Everything is saved for the last moment. We had the same thing with Secret Wars. We found the motivation for the character or for the bad guy out in the last episode. We finally understand why he's doing what he's doing. Every character is like this. Like Elsbeth was like this, and so is Ahsoka. Ahsoka, our main character. We find out what she really, what the problem is, from, and not from day one, but from at the last moment. We shouldn't be learning that about our character at the last episode. Okay, we should not. We should not, because most of the time people are gone if they don't understand what characters are doing. Okay, and that would account for the decrease in numbers of people watching the Ahsoka show, and that's pretty sad. Pretty sad. So what I did like about this scene is that Ezra seemed to ask all the right questions that we needed to, as the audience, needed to know. We needed to know those questions, those answers, and he asked them, and and they all make sense. Ahsoka. Oh, okay. So finally, we have this conversation between Ahsoka and Sabine. I would show you a picture, but I don't think I don't have the picture to relate to it. But she says to her, finally, we have this moment where they're like, and I kind of like this for where it is in the story, as sort of the end. She says, "Look, Anakin, you know, as much as you can say anything you want to about Anakin, but he had my back while he was Anakin, he had my back, and I'm not gonna not have your back, Sabine." And I was like, "Ooh, I like this. Finally, we have these two characters actually relating to each other." So, like, even though we have, you know, Sabine did something that was really ridiculous and caused a lot of trouble for selfish reasons. And also, she kind of didn't have another choice. Um, we have this like, okay, I'm not mad at you because I'm going to have your back for this. I mean, it depends on what it is, right? But it was kind of nice. I was like, okay, I get it. I get that. I get that. That was something I got. And I like that about those characters. And so with this new bond that they have between each other and understanding about each other, this could be good for season 2. This is actually good for season 2. We finally have two characters that are relating to each other. that's what I was looking for in, at least episode 2. And they just didn't ever seem to be on the same page. Now they're on the same page again. This is great. One thing I thought was also very interesting is that um, Grand Admiral Thrawn sends out a group of. Um, I loved. Okay, by the way, I loved him in this episode. Much better than last episode. Last episode, I felt he did too much talky. But this time he was doing just the right amount, and it was cocky. Some people may like that, some people may not like that. But ultimately, I did enjoy him as a character. I was like, okay, great. It was a little sloppy, in my opinion, if you wanted to be a supreme uh, bad guy. I thought it could have been a little cleaner, a little crisper. But I also thought that it gave him the feeling and the flavor. Like he does like to mix it up. He does like to get involved and get a little dirty. He likes to hit below the belt. He's not you know, he's not so much a mastermind as he is a snake that you have to watch because he can snap at you at any moment. Um, so that's kind of what I think of Thrawn and I like about him. He's not very intimidating to me. Um, but I do enjoy him as a character at this moment. The like last episode, not so much. This episode, just the right tones for him, and I really enjoy that. Really enjoy that. Um, let's see. Uh, let's see what you guys are saying. Yo yo yo. um, and Brogu says, "Hey, El Necron, fellow Libras unite." Yeah, yes. El Necron is a Libra, and so is Skywalker the Jedi. You guys are all Libras. And El Necron says, "I'm bringing back Pandora's box, so maybe that will work. Be a good show. Yeah, that would be a great show." Um, and El Necron says, "Hey, Brogu, it's our time. Yes, it's Libra season. So yes, have fun, guys." Rose says, I say we include retro. She's so cool. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. And Kingdom of Nerd says that's why we are cool. Virgos and Libras get along. Oh yeah, oh cool. Yeah, and yeah, Unicorn is a Virgo. Says yeah, that's true. Virgos and Libra get along. Um, I always now I'm not sure what other people's experiences are, but as a Leo, I've always gotten along really, really well with Virgos and Libras. Virgos, I've always like fast. I wish I was a Virgo actually, because they get things done. Virgos know how to get things done. I can try to get things done, and I'm usually good like about 70% of the time. But and Libras are just so cool. I've always gotten along very well. I seem to understand their language. And Keith E says maybe they should go back and make a prequel for this before the season. Um, well, the prequels are supposed to be those cartoon shows that a lot of people have not seen. So, like I said, about a third of their audience actually has seen the, the Clone Wars and the Rebels TV series. And so, yeah, it's really kind of annoying. Yeah. And Kingdom of Nerds says, Ezra prequel, what was he doing all the time he was trapped? Yes, yes, yes. So that's a big question. What was he doing? No one's, and maybe the next um, season will go into that. Hey, we can get like a little flashback or something because Thrawn seems to be annoyed by him, and probably because he's been causing them trouble. But I don't know why or how. Because when we meet him, he's hanging out with snails, and so it's kind of a weird one. We've got Bonzo Kilborn here. Hello, Bonzo says hi, Retro. Hope you're well. That's a terrible motivation. If Sabine might go dark, then you keep her even closer and more loved. Ooh, Bonzo. Nice. So true. So true. So true. Um, I cannot argue with that. But I think what she was going for was if she didn't train her, that she wouldn't, because she doesn't have force abilities at that time. She didn't have force abilities at that time. And so that was kind of helping her to make that decision, you know. Um, and I'm just guessing here. I'm just guessing. But you're right. Give her more love, keep her closer, could slow down the lessons, right? Right? Slow down the lessons, make her give her a support system. And I think that's the thing that hasn't been addressed here. Like she's like, "Oh yeah, I have your back." And that's wonderful, but she didn't have her back. She didn't have her back before. So what's changed? And we can only guess because they don't tell us. And the change is her nearly facing death and having that talk with Anakin in the this ghost region of the world between worlds. Um, so who knows what actually what was actually intended? And I think that's we're hitting upon the problem of the show. Like it's great for you to have things where people have questions, but it should be very clear. It should be very clear what the character motivations are. Period. What they do, that should be a mystery. That should be a mystery. Not the motivations for characters, but what they do should be a mystery. Um, and there should be obvious several things that they can do. And Brogu says, we should all get together and make our own Star Wars movie. Who's with me? Yeah, people do it all the time, those fan movies. And, well, we're going to get Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars, and I can't wait to see it. The Rebel Moon is coming out. When is it coming out? Maybe November or December? Can't wait for that. Um, just can't. It's just going to be amazing. Amazing. Uh, and so yeah, there's Kanan right there with his sword. So it's about the same kind of sword that they're using. And they all come out together and to get on that ship so they can go home. Um, and I suppose they were gonna strand poor Hu Yang out there somewhere. He wasn't gonna get a chance to go home, but or left him on standby or whatever. So uh, and I've got to say, I love seeing Sabine as the Mandalorian that she is. Definitely reminds me of her ancestor, Tar Vizsla. And we have a callback to that later on in the episode. And so this is the new look for Elsbeth. she's the sisters give her this, they perform this magical thing, and she gets black eyes and she gets the markings on her face, and I thought that was really cool. I liked that part. Again, we're bringing this mysticism and fantasy um, into Star Wars, which it always had. And I don't mind the witches at all. I think they're really cool. And if you don't have Jedi anymore, well, maybe the witches are there, can tip the scales against what's going on here. And we have this battle, and we have this scene where uh, Ahsoka and everybody defeats all of these volunteered stormtroopers, which we have established from the last episode that they were not zombies, as the internet had surmised. But the internet wasn't entirely wrong, because they're all dead. These poor guys that volunteered, they come back to life, and that is because the witches do their magic and bring them back to life. So these are technically zombies. Now, I have a bone to pick about the zombies later on, because there's a group of there's this group, and then there's these two like mega zombies that are dressed in red, and you can see that their faces underneath their masks are decayed severely, as almost like they have been dead for years and years and years. So it was kind of really interesting to see that, because I was like, did they just die, or did they? Like, it was just kind of weird. Like, the decay. Like, I know that when you show zombies, you show them decayed, but if they just died, they should look pretty fresh, you know? So that was my only beef. It was technicality, and in which I am very sensitive to, because I'm weird. But for sure, these are definitely zombies, and the stormtroopers before were not zombies. Because when they are shot at, they do not fall down, so they have a little bit more sticking power than the other ones do. And you have to, like, you have to do especially you have to kill them in a special way, in order for them to die. So this is a callback to Star Wars Death Troopers, the book, that was written by Joe Scriber. It has been referred to a lot in the fandom, and people have been wanting this. And so I think this was great fan service for the fans, but also, why not? We're talking about mysticism, witches. Why didn't we have this sooner, is all I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't have minded the first, the first part of this was all zombie uh troopers. So they were called the dark troopers. We still don't have answers to the fact that they all have red fabric wrapping around them. Like, that's the only fabric we've got on this planet, is red fabric. It's just very interesting to me, like, the design of these troopers, and why they look the way they do. So it's interesting, but there's no technical reasoning for it. um it would have been cool to see, like, one of them come in for repairs, and then someone wrapping the fabric around them, or a robot wrapping the fabric around them, or something to give us the idea that that's what these fabric pieces are for, that to hold their armor together. Or is it part of a ritual to keep them living longer? what is the fabric for? Why is it, or is it something um that they are using to separate themselves from other troopers? Sort of as like, oh, because, this is their flair because they are part of um Admiral Thrawn's special regiment. Like, these are the details we need to know, and we need to know them a long time. We should have already known about. Like, why do we not know? Why do we not know this? Okay, so we've got regular troopers, and then we have got these guys with fabric um on their armor. So that just doesn't seem explain this to me. So we have this whole scene with Thrawn basically taunting Ahsoka. Oh, we haven't gotten to this part that I really wanted to discuss. Let me just see. Yeah, okay. We'll get to that later. Actually, let's get to it now. Elsbeth. So there is a wonderful, and I do love this fight scene between Elsbeth and um, Ahsoka. My only critique about the scene is that maybe lightsabers, it's really hard to see everything with the lightsabers, kind of takes away from some of the movements I'm seeing people do. Um, Ahsoka is great. These two are just going at it, and is really, I loved the movements. It's almost like samurai against kung fu. Um, you know, and she did bust out the kung fu for this, and it was like, ooh, there was a few moves that I was just kind of loving. And I forgot the name. I'm just gonna find the name of the actress really quickly. Um, Mamma Mia. Okay, we're not getting. Uh, Give me a moment for a second here. Just trying to find a cast for crying out loud. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, her name is Diana Lee Inosanto. Very, very good. She is, I believe, the niece of Bruce Lee, and very well-trained martial artist. And she was fantastic. I loved her, and all the fighting that she had to do in this. And I was like, my goodness, why we needed more of this. We needed more of this. And it just feels kind of weird that that unfortunately she loses the battle. I felt the battle could have been longer, more extensive, more incredible. As far as like uh just just having to really, I really wanted Ahsoka to have to work for this, right? And she does in many ways. There's a few moments where it's dicey situations occur, but I wanted her to even struggle more, like a scar or anything, to give us the idea that she is facing an opponent that may be better than her, maybe better. And um, at one point, though, Elsbeth does destroy Ahsoka's weapon, and I think it's really um, awesome when that happens. There it is, and just one of her swords, and I was like, wow, that's pretty sweet. Um, and so there's a sense of a moment where you feel like, oh wow, this is intense. You never feel like she's gonna die though. You just think, oh well, they're gonna, you know, and something's gonna happen. We don't know. And so it's really an amazing fight. But then, of course, Ahsoka gets the upper hand, takes her sword from her, and gives her double slashes across the stomach. Now, here's my only problem with that scene. It lacked the emotional devastation for this character. Uh, we should have felt more. I mean, she's been through so many um, series, and I believe she was in Mandalorian season 2. She was in, um, and she was in this one. We should have. She's been through so much of the storyline. Why not give her an ending that, like, slows things down a little slow motion doesn't hurt anybody, my goodness. Nobody's People are afraid to use slow motion to give us some emotion here. Um, uh, Swell up the music with more passion, and more feeling like it's a moment that we have to take notice of, right? And give her a moment where we see an expression on her face of, I didn't want to die, but I'm happy that these guys are getting away and they're getting to go home, or go to the other the other galaxy. So I just wanted more emotion in that scene to feel like we knew her as a character. We hardly knew her. We hardly know her. So it doesn't feel satisfying. There's something unsatisfying about it. And that's the problem. Very unsatisfying victory in that one. Let's see. Oh gosh, you guys have been talking. You've been talking. Um, and uh, and let's see if I can get back. Wow, you guys have been really talking. Um, okay, so people are casting. They're casting a new show, and Kingdom of Nerds says Necron to play Balon, and Bonzo Kilborn is going to be Lando, and Kingdom of Nerds says I'll play the Emperor. No betas in the Empire. And Rogu says Retro will play Princess Leia, and I guess I'll play Chewbacca. And Bronzo says it's a big galaxy, but I don't like the witch theme. We should be getting a triumphant return of the Jedi. Um, um, oh, and you mean in this episode? I'm not sure. Bonzo Kilborn says, Rogu, are you 7 feet tall? For like Chewbacca. And Rogu says, no, I guess I'll play Luke Skywalker. And Kingdom of Nerds says, there's a theory that they were infused with Sith energy, the witches. Is that what you're saying? Yes, so the witches I'm totally fine with. That's fine. I mean, when you have space girls floating in space, with lightsabers, destroying ships, I think we are okay with a witch or two, and we're okay with zombies, and we've got space whales. So how crazy do you? I mean, come on, let's do this. This is we get it all. We're gonna have soothsaying seals in the next episode or the next series, and who knows what we might talking trees. We have it all. We have it all. Uh, psychedelic flowers. They'll do it all. They'll do it all. Um, Let's see. And Grogu also offers to play Han Solo. And Al Necron says, I was wondering if the zombie troopers were going to freak you out. Oh no, because I was prepared for the zombie troopers because that's what they kept saying. Oh, that's what these guys are. They're dark troopers because they were referred to as dark troopers. And they were like, oh yeah, well, we can see that their armor has been cracked and then replaced with gold in some places. And the captain, oh, what's his name? Captain Enoch has like his whole face is replaced. So I think he has underneath that mask. He probably looks messed up, um, but he. I was expecting them to all be zombies right out the gate, but last episode they died just like they just died just like that. I mean, it would have been really easy. They had a whole bunch of bodies already around them. Just get into um those stormtrooper costumes and um and go to the ship. How easy would that have been? Just already wear the armor, just right off the gate. Now Grogu says, "I know, El Necron. We know she feels how she feels about zombies." Yes, yes, yes. It's really interesting. I don't like zombies and zombie movies, but I was like, okay. I mean, look, like I said, you got you got some weird stuff going on in this story. Was not surprised in the least or disgusted at all. Just, I was like, okay, there's some zombies. Uh, and I was like, I wonder if they're gonna bite them. I was wondering if they're gonna do that, and then spread the zombie virus. And Unicorn Rampant Studio says, "I'll be Qui-Gon." Force Ghost. Oh yes, isn't Qui-Gon? I think you said that Qui-Gon is your favorite character, right? And Bonzo Kilborn says, Brogu, how do you feel about being a custom made, one of a kind prototype droid? Yeah. And Brogu says, no, you can be that. I'll be Lando. And Necron says, didn't they say that didn't they say in a prior episode those troopers were loyal to the witches? Did I miss some? Did I miss that? I I I didn't know because um I I didn't know that. I thought they were loyal to Thrawn because they kept saying Thrawn, 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 Thrawn. I was like, okay, this is a new level of dedication. I like. Um, but yeah, wasn't I don't remember a line, but I could have missed it. Yeah, let me know if I missed that line. Um, because I think they and I think we all suspected that the witches had brought them back to life. But and if they are loyal to the witches as well as Thrawn, why? Uh, um, that would create like another level of like problems. Uh, Kingdom of Nerve says it doesn't seem that Ron is under the witch's spell by the way he's behaving. No, no. He's clearly made a deal. Okay, so another thing that they said Ezra by chance said Thrawn woke up the witches. Okay, let's see. See if I find it. Yeah, he said Thrawn woke up the witches according to Ezra. So how he did that, we don't know. It's just his presence in this galaxy was something that they were trying to connect to, and they woke up. I would love to see that. So maybe that's the prequel you were talking that one of you guys were talking about, like having a prequel of just showing us what happened during the time of Ezra's um, with between Ezra and Thrawn on this new planet, Peridia. Like, what happened when they got there? What happened in the last 10 years? There's a rumor that there's chainmail around Ezra's neck, like that he's wearing chainmail. And some people were saying those are the dog tags of the troops, or the dark troopers. And I'm like, wait a minute. If First of all, I've never heard of stormtroopers wearing dog tags. And if that's true, Ezra is sick to be wearing their dog tags as a sort of like a trophy of his killings. Very sick. That is a very sick behavior. So I'm not sure. That would be dark side behavior. I'm not sure that's true, and I'm not sure. Um, but that does uh, lend into the story. So Thrawn is definitely. It feels like Thrawn made a deal with the witches that if they could get him back to the galaxy, that they can. Uh, if they can get him back to the galaxy, then he would help them transport these things that are in what looks like a stasis unit. And what I think they are is that they may be like stasis units. Like on this planet, they used to have a complete like nation of these witches, and what they may have is that they may have died in some way, somehow, maybe a disease or or something that was killing them. I don't have any proof of this, but there may be a reason why many of them just went into stasis in order to preserve their numbers, so that way one day they would be able to thrive again. So they may have been put in these stasis units, and then now taken to um, Dathomir, where the witches can perform their witch rituals and bring everybody back to life. Either they're dead or they're in stasis. Who knows what they are? But on these little boxes that they're transporting, the cargo, as they called it, there's like numbers on the side of them and like blinking lights to which is something you would use if you were monitoring something and keeping it in storage, keeping it cold, perhaps. So it is very interesting to me what those things are. Again, still confused as to what it is. We should at least know what they are. We should not be in the dark of that. It should not be a secret until next season. I think that's unusually cruel and upsetting that they did not at least fill us in on that information or give us a clue or something. Moonbeam 87 says, "Okay, I'm back." I had to go to. I'm not sure what AFK is. Um, and Berlu says, if none of those characters work, I will be Darth Vader. Apology accepted, Captain Nita." And Elnecron says, the witches didn't look too happy when Thrawn blew up their castle. Yes, yes, they were not happy with that, and uh, they kind of gave a look like, should we let this fool live or what? They just need him to push a button and get them to a location. And I'm sure the deal will be fully revealed, but there is a deal between the witches and Thrawn, and it's a relationship that will work in his benefit, because if he's in this in the New Republic, is going to be his opposition. He's going to need an upper hand, and the Jedi are still dismersed among the people. There's still Jedi walking around. So he needs something strong to fight against Jedi, to fight against, to have an upper hand in all of this. Well, besides not having, if he could have the power of the Jedi in his grasp, closest thing, which is of Dathomir, absolutely are going to be key to him getting ahead and possibly um, doing things in a non-orthodox way. They are going to be very, very instrumental in getting him the things that he wants. And I suppose right now what he wants is to probably maybe get back some of that power he lost and get the empire, rejuvenate the empire again. Um, and so, and he is what they call the heir to the empire, and everything is now set up for that, for a live action version of Heir to an Empire. The only thing is that Heir to the Empire, which was a book, um, was had Luke, Leia, and Han in those books, and so I I'm not sure if they're willing to dive into those characters again, if they want those characters to be a part of the story. And so, or if they want to just deviate altogether. So that is something that's on my mind, or that's on the mind of a lot of fans. Like, what does this mean? Like, we're still asking, and that's actually a good one to wonder. That's actually a good question. We should not, however, still be wondering what it is that Balin is imagining in his head or seeing or all that. Um, and I'm going to go into that. This was quite a meaty episode, to be very honest with you. I hate that I'm going on for so long. I've been talking for 2 hours. And so yes, Keith E says Hooper says on the zombies to check out if the best um, check out the best if used by labels that keeps them fresh. Fresh zombies. And Moonbeam is saying that you could, Grogu could play Yoda. The Force is with you, and and El Necron says, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts," says Filoni. Yes, he's really going for it, and I'm not mad at it all. I'm not mad at him, jamming out on what he's doing. I think it's fine. The part that's not fine is not defining a narrative that really shows all of your characters in the best light of being a character. So I think that's been my biggest gripe with the whole thing. It really boils down to the way characters are being portrayed on screen, the lack of depth with those characters. The only character that even is giving you kind of depth is Balin, and I think mostly due to Ray Stevenson's acting in this. It is There are moments where he's not even saying anything, but he's just looking pensive or he's just looking troubled or whatever, and I'm like, I get it. I want more. And we've been saying we want more since episode 1, and you after episode 8, I'm sure people have, like, already given up. There's some people that are not watching any more Star Wars anymore because they gave up after, like, episode 2 and 3, which is, they're not gonna get to this part. They're just, like, not gonna bother. Brolu says, "Stop stop moving, you're typecasting me because of how I look." Aw. And one baby says, "No, oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to feel that way." Uh, I mean, if you want to be Lando, I think you can pull it off. Love Yoda. I think you'd be an awesome Yoda. Let's see. Yoda, when 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not. Oh, one of my favorite lines too. Um, and Moonbeam says, "Okay, I'll play Yoda." Oh, there's yes, a lot of people play Yoda. Um, and oh, it Moonbeam says, "Ciao for now." Okay, well, I hope all is well. You hang in there. Let's see. Uh, and yeah, so yeah, about the witches and all that stuff, I'm cool with it. I'm all right with it. It's fine. Um, so let's see. I think I oh, one thing I did enjoy about this, and it felt very classical in a way, like story classical. And I will praise this for that is because when they were using the magic, the witches were using the magic to bring up the zombies, to conjure up the zombies. I love that they brought out the violins for this, and it just had that like that really old school magic go like feel it to it. And one thing I noticed about all the things that are happening in a lot of these movies is feeling more and more like Earth, right? Like Earth history in this. So it's very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we see dragons sometime in the future. Okay, so let's see. We got um okay, so the one thing that I wanted to hit on, okay, so Sabine, um this is Shinhati, Balin Skull's apprentice. He left her in the last, or abandoned her in the last episode. She was abandoned by the Empire or by Thrawn. Thrawn won't have her. I don't think it's not going to work. And so she's just on this planet, and she's like, okay, a little bit bitter. I love the bitterness on her expression, like. But now she's gonna be hanging out with the marauders that are wearing red, that attacked. They were terrible, um, in the last, um, episode. So I hope she trains them because they are in need of some sort of training, and maybe they can build a little city. They're, like, living in huts and stuff. So, maybe she will be their leader and teach them some things, but I think she is out on her own. Then we have Balin, who is looking very pensively out into the open. He is standing on a statue, and there's like a whole bunch of statues that's there. Now, without any background, it's like, oh, that's cute. I wonder what that is. Okay. But if you have any recollection of the Clone Wars, which is going all the way back, this is referring to the Mortis gods. And we have the father in the middle, which Balin is standing on his statue. On your right side, that is the brother, which is the energy of Sith energy. And then we have the light energy on the other opposite side, which looks like it's been eroded. And that is the sister who actually died in the original stories back in Clone Wars, and people have speculated that in uh, that Ahsoka is the sister, and because the sister had a an owl called the Morai. It's her owl, and it's an owl that seems to keep on following Ahsoka. And on this distant world, there is the owl just shows up out of nowhere. Let's see if I can find the owl again for you. It's like the first. Uh, but yeah, here's that owl. So, letting her know that the sister's energy is somewhere there, like maybe inside of Ahsoka for a very short time. The sister had to use her magic to help Ahsoka because she was possessed or something, and so they had to bond, and so yeah, there's that. There's that, and here's the picture of the of what's depicted on in stone, which you have to remember this stuff in order to understand what it means. So there's the sister with the owl, and the father in the middle, and on the side is the brother. And a lot of people believe that that Anakin is the brother. So I don't know how any of this is associated. We just now have the visual confirmation of those of the headstones. Um, the visual confirmation, and we just like the story hasn't told us anything. We still don't know whether or not the thing that Balin is looking for is connected to these characters, or if it's something else. Now, what also is a part of the lore is somebody by the name of Abeloth, which they refer to as the mother. And she is actually, or was, a human person that wanted to be like the gods, and she was their servant for a while, and then she drank from the fount of power, and that transformed her into um, uh, a being of unlimited powers. And so this like idea of unlimited power may be something that Balin is after. So maybe he's looking for the fountain. And so um it's that's compelling, but I really would have loved for someone to explain it in the story, that the internet doesn't have to be the only way for you to learn about this stuff. So that's really kind of tough. Here's the mother right here. And so it's really kind of difficult. Um, we have a moment where Ezra gets on the ship and he takes the place of a death trooper, and um, in the middle of trying to make the jump to get on the vehicle, um, Sabine actually sees Ahsoka fighting and like really being overpowered, and so she's like, "Okay, I don't think I can leave," which is very interesting because I think before that this whole adventure, she would have left with Ezra to be with Ezra. So knowing that he is going to get on that ship, he's on the ship, and she wants to be with him, she makes the correct choice this time and stays with Ahsoka. Finally, she's actually making a choice that makes her a hero. And I'm like, oh my God, why are we getting her to be a hero finally in the last episode? Finally, I like this character. Finally, she does something that is selfless and actually is like, I'm gonna save my master so she can be alive, and we'll figure out something together. And especially after their conversation earlier in the episode where she says, "Hey, I've got your back no matter what you do." I feel like this was finally the two of them gelling together for once. It was like, this is what I've been asking for the entire season. So I could feel like these two together are working as a team. And I wanted to be behind them 100%. So it's a tough one here. I love that. It was good. It was finally paying off this relationship between the two of them. It was great. It was great. So no complaints there. At the end, they end up having to hang out with the snail people. That's just going to be their crew from now on. Um, and the ship is still available. It's just really messed up. Um, and Hu Yang is there. He's helping them out, and they have to move forward. According to Ahsoka, she says, "Hey, let's move forward. Let's do what's next." And one thing too that is very interesting here is that Sabine, oh, I haven't even told you about the part that maybe is the part that I just felt was too hammered, or they did not develop enough in the series. In the beginning of the series, they were showing Sabine trying to access force and move a cup, and it did not work. Like all the tries she did not work. And I think they dropped it. And then all of a sudden in episode 8, she's moving stuff now. She's moving things. And it's like, wait a minute. I mean, we're not talking about just moving things. She is moving things in a big way. Like, uh, I'm so surprised that they have her, like the stuff that she's moving so quickly is like I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised. She's also a Mandalorian with tons of like gadgets and stuff in her head. I know she has a flamethrower on her. And she's got like whiz, and like she goes psh, and then it just flies out of her. Well, there's a zombie that's attacking her, and she's like, eh, there's her wrist right there, and she could just have like fired on him with one of her thingy things, or even the flamethrower. But she's trying to get the lightsaber that fell. And I thought that I was like, okay, that's interesting. To see it move just a little would have been enough for me to say, oh, she's got the force. And also then she's like trying to get it, and let's say, but the thing flies into her hand. I mean, the thing flies into her hand. It may be too quick of a transition from not having any force abilities to suddenly having a lot. And I think that could have been massaged a little bit where, hey, she's trying to reach for it. It did move a little bit. She doesn't have the strength the ability to actually catch it. And then she resorts to one of her Mandalorian thingy things. That would have been more believable to me. And I think that was a mistake on their part for like, hey, we're going to give her incredible force power abilities right away. Like all of a sudden like that. Like let it happen slowly and gradually. This way we've already set the stage that she can use the force. It's not very strong. And her time in season 2, she's going to be getting trained and learning more and more and more. That would be proper. That would be proper. I feel. So that was my biggest gripe about Sabine's sudden force powers. just felt like it was something that she did not earn. Luke earned his abilities. I felt slowly, episode to episode, he grew slowly into his powers. This is like no powers, powers, big time. And so that was a little bit much. I think so. I think so. Um, so one of the things that I have to say too is that the action, it looks good. I know some people are like either it was great or it was trash. I think the action looked very, very good. There were a couple moments where it felt slow, and I think it's just, you know, physically we're just used to seeing some action scenes go faster. Um, and when we're talking about Jedi and blocking things like blasters, the the movement has to be a little bit faster than what we typically see people move. I feel like there should be some like quickening of the like speeding up of the camera, because some of it just doesn't look super realistic in my thing. Now I do remember in the prequels and some of the other ones where there was a lot of spinning action going on with the blades, where it kind of made it look like the it made it look like they were just hitting, they were just kind of like creating a force field around themselves with the blades. And I actually buy that a lot better than some of the things I saw here. Um, and it 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 just needed a little oomph, I think, in some of the action scenes, but I thought the action choreography was really good. Again, I did love the Elsbeth and Ahsoka fight scene was great. Um, and, you know, all the stuff with those zombies, it was really fun. It was fun. I enjoyed myself with it. Um, um, there's also another thing too that really kind of gets to me is this ship, that Ahsoka's ship. It's been hit. It's been, you know, battered. At one point, it's on the ground. It looks like it's toast. It saves them in the last minute. Then they're into space. They're flying into space in this thing that like barely is barely like hanging on. And I'm just wondering, like, how is that thing still flying? Now, it is definitely, you know, some of the contrivance of the storytelling, but it is one of those things where it's like that ship has been through so much. It should be, um, it shouldn't be able to fly at this point, but you know, they pulled that out, but then it also at the end it definitely crashes. So um, it's kind of a hard one. Um, so when we see the scene of Balin here on the mountaintop, I'm not sure that's actually Ray Stevenson, to be very honest. Um, I'm not even sure. And then they show some back shots of him. I don't think that's even him either. I don't think. I think they've been there's some trickery done here, because his story ends basically in the last episode. That was pretty much his story, except for him showing up on these mountaintops, or these sculptures. I think, in my opinion, what it looks like was that when he died, they scrambled and said, "Hey, we've got to put some of his acting in a different place." So I don't that there's something missing in this storyline, and I believe the end of Balin's storyline is missing. It's being saved for another show. Perhaps season 2, perhaps this movie that they talked about, but there is something very unfinished about the character, and that really puts this episode, it brings it down, I think a few notches. Could have been much higher. I definitely enjoyed it, but it could have been much higher if they had completed his story arc. And it's unfortunate that they did not do that. And what they may even try to do is, beef up his scenes and his moments in whatever they do next with body doubles and face swaps and things like that that they've learned to do um, over time. So yeah, I honestly don't think that this was Ray Stevenson here, and I don't I don't think that any of this um, was was actually him. I don't think so. Um, so the, that is my opinion. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but it feels like they did a little um a little movie magic, if you will, for that. Okay, and so Anakin's Force Ghost is out there. So here's the thing. Sabine says she feels something and she's not sure. Maybe she sees something, and then Ahsoka comes out there and she's like, oh, comes out there to inspect, and she doesn't see anything necessarily, but she feels something, and she smiles. Um, and I think she knows that it's Anakin looking over her, and so this kind of helps to bring in the story plot, which I do like, that Anakin has got her back. And he's there watching over them and checking to see if that everything's okay. And so there is that comforting to know, and also another opportunity for the bring them to bring Anakin back into the fold, to use Hayden Christensen in any way possible, in which the fans seem to enjoy quite a bit, including myself. I'm a sucker for it. I must admit, but it's used in a good way here. It's used in a good way here. Um, I and I do believe this is making me believe, and this is definitely a Force ghost here. He cannot be seen by them, which is very interesting. Can't be seen by them. He was not visible to Ahsoka. And so maybe that's something that he has to um like teach her how to do. And so it's very interesting in to find out more about that. But seeing him here makes me wonder, in episode 5, was that Anakin using this plane of existence, this world between worlds look-alike, as a means to talk to Ahsoka, send her a message, teach her a lesson, and help her out of this her situation. And so maybe that really was his ghost, but not in, because it was part of her meant in her mind during her unconscious moments underwater, that maybe that was truly him there. So it is something that they'll have to, maybe they will never explain that, and maybe that won't be explained, but it feels more congruent than, you know, not knowing that Anakin is not really there. He is there. He is watching over her, and I'm not, they haven't described exactly how much he can get involved in this, with the real world and the story. Like, this is the perfect way to add Anakin into this, because he was her teacher. So I give that a thumbs up for doing that. Um, Here's where we have okay, we get a thumbs up, but then we get a thumbs down. The reactions to people who haven't seen each other for 10 years in this series has been lackluster every time. Every time. The best one was definitely the one with Ahsoka um, uh, and and Ezra, but this one was really terrible. We have Ezra show up in an old Imperial ship and walk out in full stormtrooper get up with the helmet and everything. And like, what does he expect? Right? They should have shot him on sight. Like it would have been so much better for him to take off his helmet first and then come out of the vehicle. Or while he's landing, don't they ask who's landing? Like, hey, it's Ezra, Uh, like this is all very much played for the reveal, but not realistic. Not realistic at all. Um, then when Hera sees him, she just has this face on her, this look on her face, but she doesn't like give him a hug, run to him, say, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you in 10 years." Oh my, I like, where's Ahsoka? Like the things you would do if you haven't seen someone in 10 years. This is their response. Um, and it would be better for her to say, "Oh my God, it's like seeing a ghost." And that would have been that would have been awesome because we're like, "Oh, she's in shock. She's in shock." So I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. And this is Tar Vizsla. Now, a lot of people are saying that Sabine's sudden power surge, if you will, is due to the fact that she is related to Tar Vizsla, who was the first Jedi Mandalorian. And so it has, you've got me for a little bit on that. I'm like, okay, I'll give you that she should have force powers, but I don't think she should have them as strong as she has them in right now in the story. I mean, she's able to pick someone up off the like, to help give someone a uh push up into the sky like a full human being from a far distance. Like that's that's pretty bold. I don't know about that. Um, One of the highlights for me is Hu Yang. He was great in this season. Just a wonderful performance, and also just I like his character. You couldn't mess him up. You could not mess him up. Um, and I did like his relationship with Ahsoka. There's quite a bit of banter between the two, but also he's not afraid to tell her um, his feelings, and he very outspoken droid, and I think him being so old, there is a bit of reverence for him, um, and I love it. I love that. Uh, Hera, I don't think she was a standout for me. Um, I think a lot of people do remember her a little spicier, a little bit more fun, a little pluckier from the Rebel show, and kind of don't have that kind of performance here. We've got a more serious person. She's a general now. She's a mom, so there's it's not quite as fun as she was in the Rebel show, but definitely, I think the actress did what she could. It could have used stronger dialogue, stronger purpose in the story. Um, of course, we had iconic um, Admiral Akbar's um, moment here, just as a side character. He doesn't say anything. I wish he had said something. And then we have this character. Oh, let me see if I can get his name. Um, uh, oh, he's not coming up for me. He is um, Senator Zia Ziano. Yes, that's it. Senator Ziano. And he was the actor incredible. What he had to do, you really do hate his guts. I believe he is working for the Imperial remnants. We probably will find out that that he knows about Thrawn, or has some intel about Thrawn, or maybe will be recruited by Thrawn. Who knows? But I would love to see more of this character continue to be a jerk. He also brought up um, some great questions about how things are being run over at the New Republic. They're not following rules. They're doing whatever they want to, and so these guys who are a stickler for rules, they're also like, hey, we don't like the way things are going around here like this. So it's interesting how the New Republic is just is turning so many people off. And of course, we had nerdy the nerdy Google eye candy, or member berries of seeing C3PO, and that was really nice, and that it was really actually played by Anthony Daniels. It is really amazing that he can still do that. This incredible performance by Ray is just iconic. Sad that he is not here to receive his flowers for this, but yeah, he was fantastic. Again, just the capture of this picture. He's emoting so much, and the dialogue, unfortunately, is not matching um his ability, but he's doing so much to be captivating, and he is truly captivating. So it makes me feel good that we think and we hope that there's some more footage of Ray Stevenson in whatever future project they have going on. Really great. And we can't forget that he has this um, gauntlet, that he's keeping these names in his, like, visibly appeared to him every day. He looks at his wrist and he sees these names: Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2D2, C3PO, and Ben. And we believe that, of course, it's Ben Kenobi. Oh no, not Ben Kenobi, but Ben Solo. So it is fascinating what that list means, and why he has it is another mystery which should have been answered. But even if it wasn't answered, um, you know what? I won't say that it should have been answered, because unless you know this stuff and you can decode this information, that would be the only way you would be privy to that. So this is like underneath the layers. So I'm hoping that this will be answered in season 2. Um, just to be fair, Um, uh, and let's see. Uh, the Ezra Miller, I'm sorry, Ezra Miller. Ezra, I forgot his last name, but Ezra is really I like this character. I really do. I like this character. He's fun. He's interesting. Um, and if they are going to do something special with this galaxy and trying to make sure that this galaxy is going to be safe from Thrawn, Ezra, I think, is a great person to have as your main Jedi to help fight against Thrawn. This is great. Um, and let's see, yeah, and Shin Hati, who knows what her outcome is going to be. That's got me curious, and I like that she is just like, okay, look, I'm gonna go where I know we've had the only connection we've had on this planet, and I'm gonna hang out with the Marauders if they'll have me. So, and Thrawn was Thrawning it up this time. He was great in this episode. Last episode, I didn't like him so much. Um, this episode, I loved it. Uh, he was serving the purpose of like, I need to get home. I'm executing this elaborate plan to keep the these guys occupied while we escape. And by the time he talks to Ahsoka, it's too late, and it's really nicely done. I like that. Um, and he rubs salt all inside that wound for Ahsoka, and I was like, I like that. I like that. I like that. Uh, and eh, we've got this whole thing. I feel again. I think I said this before. Is really leading toward um, the sequels and validating the sequels, but also making it a little bit more palatable for people. Um, it, as far as like, oh, this is how we get to the prequels. I don't think it's going to dissect the and validate what's in the prequels, but just sort of getting us up to speed of the prequels, of the sequels. Sorry, and I don't mind that entirely. Um, so we may get someone talk about cloning Palpatine or cloning in general, or maybe we'll actually get the character of uh oh, I see I forgot his name because he's so bad. Um what is his name? Um, I totally forgot the name of this character though. See if I can find him. No, of course I can't find him. It's like Slade or Slip or Slin. I forgot his name so badly. Snail or something like that. Snape. No, no, that's the wrong thing. Snoke. Yeah, Snoke. There it is. See how unoriginal that name is? Snoke. So we'll probably get some information on who cloned Snoke and who all that stuff and who Snoke is, and it might be some guy and it's like that's got is force inclined and he's a good person, but they decide, hey, let's clone him. So that might be interesting. That might be interesting. And so on a whole, I ended up liking Ahsoka as a character by the end because they finally paid off who she is and her motivations by that time. uh, and that's not too bad. But I felt as a whole, we had only about 3 episodes that truly had and highlighted Ahsoka as it should have been in the entire series of um, 8 episodes. No, we only had 3 episodes to really get to know our character, our main character. That's sad. That's pretty sad. Um, and so I know there's a lot of people who just love this character uh, you know, from the Clone Wars and Rebels. But I think, and she is a cool character, but I think the way she was presented in this was very poorly done. Um, and but otherwise, I did enjoy myself in this. There were more moments that I enjoyed, and there's some silly parts that I enjoyed as well. And I just had fun with it more than didn't have fun with it. And so, here's my scoreboard. And um, as you know, episode 1 I notoriously hated, but things got better for episode 2. Episode 3 was slightly better, um, and episode 4. Oh, I did like that episode. I really did like that episode. And episode 5 was the epitome for me. And um, maybe it was because of Anakin being featured in it. I felt we really got a nice backstory for Ahsoka in this series that explained a lot of her motivations and the way she feels. And we went underneath the layers, and it was great. It was wonderful. Um, episode 6, I was disappointed. I was very disappointed by that episode, but it was better than it was still good. It was still good. Episode 7 was another one that I was even more disappointed, because we got all this growth from the character, and then we reverted right into something else, and I was just like, what's happening here? What's going on here? Um, and uh, episode 8 today, I really enjoyed a whole lot more. Um, I gave it a little extra credit for what may happen in the future, and the fact that there was some buildup, but there are a lot of empty spots or mystery boxes that are still on the table. And I have so many questions that it's ridiculous. And um, I'm I'm going to read off some of the questions I have for Ahsoka the series. One question I have is, what exactly happened after Rebels season 4? Um, just just that quick rundown. That it could only take 5 minutes to describe all the happenings between them, and that should have been in this series. Um, and especially the things that happened between Ahsoka and Sabine. Now we did get that one line about uh, you know why Sabine left, why Ahsoka left Sabine. But we didn't. We should have gotten like a little 5 minute or even 3 minute backstory, real quick, visuals, the whole nine. Give us that visual and that backstory. And why didn't they? Why did they lose touch and fall out? Like why was it so upsetting for them to see each other again? Why didn't they keep in touch? Why didn't they keep in touch? Exactly why and how did Ahsoka leave Sabine? Oh, actually, yeah, they did answer that. So let me check that. They did answer this. Um, and so one question I had that they answered was, are the stormtroopers and night troopers um, zombies? And the answer is definitely no. They're humans, but they do turn into zombies. What are the pods that they're loading and the cargo? We still don't know. We still don't know. Internet is full of questions or answers that could be, but we just don't know because they didn't tell us, and so it's still all speculation. Let me see. Um, and Brogu says, Ray Stevenson, you're the man. And Unicorn Rampant Sue says, I'm preparing for a Vision Quest next week. I'll keep you posted. Oh wow. And Bonzo uh, says, Retro, do you believe Star Wars can be saved? I think you still like it more than most, but many of us are done. Can it come back? Um, I don't think it can come back the way we want it to be. Um, it will never be the it will never be the original Star Wars. It will never be Empire Strikes Back again. That's gone. It's uh, it's it's just not available anymore. While the characters were still alive, the actors were still alive to play those characters. Could have done something really special with that, and they dropped the ball with the sequels. Uh, we all, I mean, everybody can attest to that. There may be a few people who are like still die-hard sequel fans, but not many. Uh, Even like the biggest Star Wars fans are think that agree with that. Um, but since the 90s, Star Wars has been transforming. Uh, as soon as the prequels came about, all of that stuff that we've gotten since the prequels have been fluff. I mean, story fluff. The core story are the two, I would think the three stories um, that was in the original trilogy. Everything else is like basically fluff because fans wanted something and they it's just churn and it's just churn. So, with that in mind and knowing that, can you like Star Wars again? And the answer is maybe, because, like I said, um, I wasn't watching anything. And then they came out with this show, Obi-Wan, and I said, okay, let's give that a shot. I liked it more than I hated it. which is really like that's good. I liked it more than hated it. Most people don't like it. They didn't like it, and there were too many questions going about like what are we even looking at here? And I think a season 2 could have cleaned that up, could fix that up, but people are tired of trying to give uh Disney Plus a chance to fix things, because when you have a property like Star Wars, well, the expectation for greatness is all the way up there. Like, you cannot play around and give us okay stuff. You can't. You can't give us oh, okay, the story was okay, it was decent. Look at what happened to Solo, the Solo movie. It was actually decent. It was okay. It got nothing. People did not go see the movie, and we have Kathleen Kennedy switching up things over there because they're like, that did not work. And so, yeah, there is a lot. Um, there's a different scope of understanding for all of us now. Totally different. So what they're doing now is they're creating different products for us to consume, which is like, okay, we're gonna do Mandalorian. We're gonna do Boba Fett. Then we're gonna do we'll do like a cutesy Grogu show. We'll do little like a Leia show. do the Acolyte. It's all female empowerment, and we're gonna do Skeleton Crew, guy with some kids, and then we're gonna do another one. They were thinking about the Rangers of the Republic, which I thought would have been really cool, but they canceled that. So they're just coming up with different ways of pleasing audiences, but they're not sure who the audience is. They don't have one particular audience to please. So the thing as a person in uh, like yourself or myself is that we have to just pick the stuff that we think we're gonna like. Um, we don't have to consume all of Star Wars. We just can consume the stuff that's interesting to us. So, yeah, I was interested in seeing Ahsoka because I had never seen um, a live action version of this concept, but I didn't know it was going to be um, Rebel season 5, basically, right? So yeah, I had to remember everything from the earlier seasons. I had to remember stuff from the Clone Wars. That's really tough. You're asking me to go back and revisit something that I did not enjoy that much the first time. It was okay. It was all right. Um, it wasn't my favorite. It was not my favorite. So I think this is a this specifically has an audience that loves it. Really, truly does. It'll blow your mind. There are people that love it, love it, love it, love it. It's not but there's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who don't. So just as many people who like it don't like it, and there's just as many people who are in the middle, like myself. And and that's and that's something to think about. Uh, like, should you spend time and money or energy with Star Wars if it doesn't seem like it's really the same anymore? And for a lot of people, it's like they're done. I don't know. I don't disagree with them. They just Obi-Wan pulled me back in. So once that happened, I really felt compelled to watch some more of the stuff to find out what's going on here. I'm also investigating the concept of story and story plot and character development. These are things that are interesting to me. That's why I love talking about movies that I really adore. Uh, that they're, you know, they are somehow they got it right. Somehow they got it right. Like looking at a movie like Logan's Run. Talk about Logan's Run all the time. But somehow they got the character right. Here we've got this guy who's a bad guy, really, doing some really terrible things. In the first scene, he's assisting the takedown of a poor guy who's trying to run away for his dear life. And when you realize that he is just caught up into a system in which this is normal, and has been brainwashed as much as the other people that this is the way to live, it's the only way to live. Well, then you get to have some emotional connection to that character and realize he's a victim as much as everybody else. And that now that he's been put in this position where he has to find sanctuary and everybody's after him, and it's insane. You wonder, like, okay, is this character going to make it out of this story alive? How is this going to turn out for this character? Is his love interest in the story, is she going to get hurt during this whole time? There's concern, there's real concern for the characters, and that's the kind of build I want to see for Star Wars, where it's character centric and not just about about the pew pews and the action and the sky battles and the space battles. Like those are so awesome. We love those parts, absolutely. But we don't need them in order to enjoy a story because that's what we need in order to enjoy the story are to understand and like and even if we don't like the character, to understand where the character is coming from. So, that's that's the main thing. Like knowing where the character is coming from is going to change. It changes the emotional pull when things are happening in the story. I went on a tangent, didn't I? Roger says, like I said before, George Lucas should have made his sequel trilogy while the actors were still young to do the movies. Wait to do the prequels later. Yeah, and I think he only did the prequels because he did not have any vision of where they should be going because the story in his mind was done. I think that's the key element there, is that in his mind, the story was over, and fans, and the company, said, "Hey, we'll pay you a lot of money to do this." And people were like, "Yeah, we want another one. We can't wait for you to make another one." And he was like, "Okay." And Keithy says, reminder at 2:20 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, and weather alert is going out across the country on on every device. Oh, okay. That's probably why the sirens went off a few moments ago. I don't know if you guys could hear it. And Rogu says, Star Wars, it was the greatest movie series ever made, but they fumbled it. That's the truth. They can say what they want, but they know that this series was fumbled after George Lucas sold it to Disney. And I don't disagree. It's I thought, and we all had the high hopes that okay, now in the hands of Disney, with their Imagineers, their people are on the case. They are responsible for some of the greatest stories of all time, the most incredible characters, and they have a library of proven like incredible movies that we all love, that you cry at these movies, right? I mean, I've cried at a lot of Disney movies, and now not so much anymore. No crying. Because it doesn't hit me in the emotional feels anymore. Unicorn Rapunzel says, I'm paraphrasing a young Anakin Skywalker who says, "Oh yeah, R2, let's use the blasters. That's a cool thing." Oh man. And Bonson Cameron says, "Have a great day, Retro and chat. It's been great, but R2 is plotting a course. I've got to fly." That's cool. We'll use the force, okay? May the force be with you, Bonzo. Roger says Disney is not the Disney of old. They are running that corporation into the ground. Yeah, there's something going on, and I don't know exactly what it is, but all of their series, whether it is not just Star Wars and their movies, are having trouble, and there. I think there's a formula that they're using that's just not working anymore, and or it maybe it never worked, but it's something's going on, global, like completely. Company wide. And Unicorn Rampant Studios says, I don't say it all the time because it'd be super downer, but Disney always been evil from day one. It's never been any different. It's just they have been palatable. Very, very controversial. I've heard the same statements too from a lot of people. It's been really sad that such a great company that really had a great reputation has had over the years. um, just changed so drastically. So Broga said, the executive at Disney don't know what they're doing. That's the truth. And Unicorn says, dollar dollar bill, y'all. Oh my goodness, you guys are cracking me up. And just to look at the scoreboard again, I was actually, I think this series deserves a 7.0 from me. A lot of things are in place, a lot of things are not in place, and so yeah, 7.0 is definitely my scoring. But I have a lot of questions here. I just wanted to go down those questions really quick because we still don't know what Balin's goal is after. Um, and we don't know why all those names are on his gauntlet. Uh, mm, we still actually don't know where the place that Ahsoka went to that looked like the world between worlds, like if it was truly that or if it was in her mind. And I'm guessing it was in her mind. And if Anakin is truly a Force ghost, why hasn't he reached out to Ahsoka earlier? Why why is he only reaching out to her now in weird ways? That's not the way we're used to seeing Force ghosts behave. So it's very strange. And who was Anakin in the world between worlds? Was it really him, or was there someone acting in his behalf? And I think it was actually Anakin doing sort of only thing that he can as a Force ghost to reach out to Ahsoka. And why did Balin part with Shin? We still don't know why. Why he didn't want her to be part of this thing that he's going after. Some people had surmised that he didn't want her to get hurt, but she almost got killed facing off with Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra. So uh, I don't know. And also, why didn't he do it sooner? Why didn't he say when they were in the other galaxy, listen, I make the decision here and now if you want to continue to go with me because I'm not planning on coming back. Or there's a possibility we may not make it back because I have to go do this thing. And then we can get the idea that he was being responsible. Because at this point, he left her out there. He drug her all the way across the galaxy to some other galaxy and left her there. And just left her there. So now she's got to pick up the pieces of her life and figure out what she's going to do next. Um, and who knows if she's, just going to use her power to bully these people around and become their leader. Who knows? And the thing is that if she doesn't mean much to Balin, why did he get upset when she got hurt by Ahsoka? Like that did not make sense. That was in episode 4. Um, I still don't understand why Shin the Noti keeps following these guys around. I like okay, you hung out with us for a little while. Get going, like go on your way. Like, why are they so like following everybody around? And the part that's really kind of mysterious to me is it would like still it would take days and days and days for you to find someone on a planet, on a distant planet. Like these guys find Ezra so quickly. So quickly. It's ridiculous and unbelievable. We also want to know what is the history of the galaxy part 1, 2, and 3. Very fascinating stuff. Why didn't Sabine at least tell or suspect that Thrawn had her followed? That's pretty she's dealt with him before. So why didn't she think that she was being followed? Why was there no urgency for her to leave? And why was she so cavalier about it? Um, and we still never really did find out what Merrick was, that character that everybody was suspecting. Who was he really? Like we still didn't find out like what he was. Smoke and mirrors is all we really got on that. And okay, so here's the other thing. The witches are able to pinpoint and spot where Ahsoka is in episode 7. So why couldn't those witches find Ezra on the planet earlier? Also, why don't the witches know that Ezra is on the ship that they're taking to the other galaxy? So it's very like I don't these are the details that the show shows us that it's possible that this can happen, and yet it doesn't always work. And it doesn't always work because of the convenience of the script. That is a problem. And let's see. Now, the other thing that we have here are um, there's a scene with symbols on a in a backdrop kind of in the temple that the witches are, and the that has writings on it about the Zepho, and it's like a long story, but this is stuff from like I believe Clone Wars or Rebels. I'm not sure which one at this point, but what does the Night Sisters and the Zepho have in common on this planet? That's not explained. Um, also, uh, why doesn't anyone else hear the call that Balin is hearing? What is it about Balin that's special that this call is coming out just to him? And what is the call exactly? What is it saying to him that's so compelling? And yeah, there's so many more questions. I don't want to keep you guys all day with my questions. I think it is already a lot that they didn't answer. They didn't answer those a lot of questions. So I will spare you. I'll spare you. Oh, here it is. Thanks for the heads up, Keith E. That there's that beeping message that that you told us about. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, there it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, and let's see if I can find that message again before. Um, And Unicorn Rampant Studio says, "You don't make movies where mom and dad get shot in the beginning and at the beginning and the end." Yeah, it's crazy. And Unicorn Rampant Studio says they also make a movie about murdering 101 magically created puppies. Oh man. The fox and the hound don't get to stay friends. Aw. Oh. And Unicorn Rampant Studios gives me with this $7 uh, super chat. Thank you so much. Sorry for the downdraft and happy hugs and rainbows. Okay, well I'm gonna do a special thank you that will make you happy. Make all of us very happy to see this. Let's see something for happiness. Here we go. Aw, I just want one of those little puppies in my life. Oh man. Okay. And Brogu says, I have been entertained here and there, but all the Star Wars shows that I've seen have a lot to be desired. over and over, we get Star Wars shows over and over again. We are left lacking. Yeah, it's a shadow of what it used to be, right? So, that's now the new norm, and like I said, there's a lot of kids out there and a lot of people who are not so much kids when they're in their 30s and 40s, and they or and 20s that they're like, yeah, this is cool, and they're like, yeah, just give me more stuff, Star Wars, and that's totally fine. And then there are also people who are um, figure mongerers, I guess, if you want to call them. People who like to collect figures and the latest ships and the latest models of things, latest creatures. And so anytime there's a new show, they always want the new um, that whatever's featured. So uh, there's that too, and they get excited for that, and I think it's fun. And you know what, the world is um, can be sometimes really harsh and brutal. Life is short, and so if whatever makes you happy in this world, dive right into it and dive in hard. Like really enjoy it. Don't you know if somebody's not getting it, it's okay. Just really love it, love it hard. And I think that um, it's not that serious, but the reason why I'm, like I said again, the reason why this is all fascinating to me is because I like to study story, and so I'm always seeing ways that this could be better. And Unicorn says, I just think if Boss Nass had refused to aid the Naboo. um, and Rogu says, I got the same warning just now. Oh, cool. Yes, everybody's thanking Keith E for giving us the heads up. You're so awesome. Thank you so much for always letting us know things like this and just being incredible altogether. You're awesome. And Keith E says, my message said, be prepared to beam up, prepared to return to the mothership. Oh, cool. Mine didn't say that. And Unicorn Rapids says, woohoo. And Keith E says, now your television should be going off. Oh, is it? Oh, I don't, thank goodness I don't have one. Oh man. Okay, really quickly, guys. I'm about to be done with this. I am done with the Ahsoka show. Yes, and it does. I give it a 7.0. Right now we have a box office really quickly. Um, Box office. I never saw this coming. Paw Patrol, the mighty movie, is number one right now. It's that's wild. I never imagined it. Saw X is out and people are loving it. Um, some people are saying it's one of the best. Um, that's not my type of movie. Probably never going to see any of the Saw movies. But definitely, if it's your jam, go for it. And the creator is out, and I've been hearing wonderful things about the creator. I've been hearing meh things about the creator. I've been hearing terrible things about the creator. But mostly, a lot more people are saying how awesome it is. And so it's very surprising that we have um, a new um, concept, a new what do you call it, IP, and people aren't running to the theaters to see it. So maybe the studios have a little bit of um, maybe right about the fact that people don't usually go to the theaters to see new products. They go to the movies to see old older things or something that's familiar. And so the creator is not familiar. It's brand new, and a lot of people um, are opting not to see it in the theater, and maybe they're waiting for it to hit streamers, and maybe they're waiting for the physical copy. The Nun 2 shows up at number 4. Um, Another franchise I don't know anything about. The Blind is also up, and the for it's on number 5. Number 6 is Haunting in Venice. Lots of horror movies. Now we have a comedy though on number 7. Number 8 is Equalizer 3. Denzel Washington hanging on. It's really interesting because his son is in the creator, number 3. Um, Barbie is, oh, sorry, The Expendables is number 9. That is really bad. It's only on the second week and it's already down to number 9. Not good for The Expendables, but the rumor is that The Expendables are is a movie that you don't have to see. It's expendable. And Barbie is holding on to the number 10 spot to be a part of the top 10. Wow, Barbie is doing incredible. I can't believe it, but yeah, it really is a phenomenon. We have uh, at a number 11, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which is not doing very well, but uh, it is still in the top 20. And 12, Stop Making Sense. I am not even sure what movie that is, to be honest. Um, and then, of course, number 13 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, still holding on. So that is, the box office. I love seeing the progression of the numbers and where people, where they are standing at is really, uh, unusual activity, and I'm learning a lot by following those numbers. I've got some headlines, and most of them are from Discussing Film, which has it's on X. I don't think they have a channel necessarily, but they congregate a whole bunch of different articles, and a lot of times they get it from Variety and Deadline. So let's see what some of the things that I picked out that I thought was really interesting. We've got Loki season 2 that's going to be premiering this Thursday. I'm going to be covering it next Wednesday. And it should be, I really enjoyed the first season. So we'll see if it still has the same punch second time around. I've been seeing a lot of the uh, promos for this, and it looks intriguing. And I'm much looking forward to this. Let's see what you guys are saying. Unicorn Rampant Studio says, I have always been prepared to be beamed up at any time. Keith E says, I'm living on borrowed time. Every day is a blessing. Oh, yes, every day is a blessing. And Brogu says, Paw Patrol, I'm done with movies in the theaters for a while. After I watch Retro, I'm putting in the Terminator in my Blu-ray player. That's right, people, the Terminator. Awesome. Yes. Great one. That's a great one. And Unicorn Rapid Studios, Stop Making Sense, a semi-documentary movie, but the Talking Heads. Oh, okay, that's what that is. Interesting. And Keith E says, that reminds me to hit the thumbs up button, everybody. Yes, hit that thumbs up button if you're liking what you're seeing. And let's keep going. I'm almost done with that. KQ Kwan is going to be in the Loki season 2, so I'm really looking forward to that. The Batman Part 2. I still haven't seen the first Batman movie, so I am a little late to the party, but I'm gonna actually try to squeeze that in. I may put my a short review of it if I do see it in the members lounge, if you will. And let's see. And so part 2 will not be released for another 2 years. So they're really early in the process of this film. And gosh, I bet Patterson has to go work out again. I know he hates doing that. And they're doing something very interesting on Netflix. They have a four-part short series that I'm not sure if it's a series, but it's a four short films from Wes Anderson, and it's based on the Roald Dahl's stories. And so that is really interesting to see. He has a very unique style. I have not had the pleasure of watching um, one of his movies yet. Um, and so it would be very nice to watch one of his, these shorts just to get sort of a peek at some of his style. And because it looks very intriguing, looks very stylistic and beautiful, and I do love that kind of visual technique and style. And it almost looks like some of the stuff that the computers are generating these days. So it's something very surreal and interesting about it. So looking forward to diving into that. John Woo is also doing a movie called Silent Night, and it's an action thriller, silent, dialogue-free action thriller, starring Joel Kinnaman and Kid Cudi, in theaters December 1st. Now, the thing is it's about a man who gets into he's a victim of, like, I think it's a drive-by or something, where but his son dies. He's shot up in the hospital, and the one of the bullets has gotten to his throat, and so he cannot speak. And it's very compelling. Unfortunately, I would not recommend looking for a um, a trailer. I would not recommend watching the trailer, and here's the reason why. I think the trailer tells you everything about the movie before you've even seen it, which is really a bad thing to do. So I think the trailer is a little too descriptive, but it is a great concept, and I'm really looking forward to see it. So yeah, I wouldn't watch the trailer though. I would, if you can get something like that's a few seconds to tell you about the film, but that trailer, or maybe it was just a little too descriptive, and it kind of ruins it, uh, if you will. Um, we have this Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It's just, I think it's a horror movie. I'm not familiar with this at all, but I don't know if you guys are. But it's releasing this month, October 27, in theaters and Peacock, and it's very anticipated. But it looks hilarious at the same time. I'm just wondering exactly what the story is going to be, why this is happening and how it's happening. So that's really interesting to me. Um, and we've got the next Star Wars event is Skeleton Crew. We're just talking about Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, and the rumors have said that it will tie into the Mandoverse and Ahsoka. And I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be coming out, but when it does, we'll definitely cover it. But it looks like there's like a whole bunch of youngsters that are being guided by this, like a senior uh, uh, or older um, Jedi who is going to help them, and they need to. I know that they need to go somewhere, and they need to save grown-ups. So this is gonna be, it could be fun. It could be fun. It could have that playful edge to it, but also seriousness. So who knows? I'm really looking forward to something different from Star Wars, that veers away from the main characters, Luke, Han, and Leia. And I know a lot of people that is Star Wars to them, Luke, Han, and Leia. Anything that ties into them. But I'm loving the idea of any kind of story that actually deals with like real people. That find you there is a in order to show those characters, they have to talk about those characters and and not leave everything up into this stupid mystery box thing, you know. Um, so yeah, I hope that this show will develop all of these characters, and I can't get to wait to get to know who they are. And here's something that's really not it's movie related in a way because it'll be released in films, in film theaters. Beyonce's Renaissance concert film is eyeing to be released in theaters December 1st, which is quite unusual. I have not ever seen a concert in a theater, but I'm sure it must be fun because Taylor Swift is doing it as well, and it's like a big deal now, and especially since we may not have the most robust content on in theaters. This is a great way to keep the theaters full while Hollywood is scrambling to make the next film. And that is it, everybody. We finally come to the end. There we go. And if I went a little too far into Rantville a few times, that's because I do um, ad- adore the the Star Wars franchise, and it really comes from my childhood, like really loving it when I was a child, and those wonderful memories of how Star Wars was very, very unique, really different, and there weren't a lot of people who were like, "Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan." There were a lot of people who said, "Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan," in front of the theater, but in dispersed amongst people in school, there weren't that many people. So it's nice to be able to talk about Star Wars in depth with other people who know about Star Wars, um, and also like try to figure out like what can you get out of this. Like for me, I was able to enjoy Obi-Wan because I picked out the things that I liked from it, and you know there were lots and lots of mistakes and problems, but I was really more concerned with okay, this was amazing. What happened here? Uh, why was this really good, and why was it good to me? And the same, I feel the same way about Ahsoka. I think it's decent. It's just got problems if you're coming, and if you're all too familiar with the stuff that's in Ahsoka, and you are going to be rewarded. You're going to be excited. You're going to be happy. But if you are not familiar with all these little nuggets of information, I think you'll you'll be scratching your head. What's happening? There's this there's whales. There's magical whales now. There's witches. Wait a minute. We always thought that Jedi it was magic. They were wizards, but this is the real thing, real witches, and not realize that that goes back to some former stories that maybe you don't know about, and it could be daunting. It's a lot to know, and luckily there are tons of nerds out there who are willing to bridge the gap between what and what is being presented. So I am so glad for all the people that I follow and all the information that I get from their, um, the Easter eggs that you get from who is the one that does it? Heavy spoilers. They're fantastic. They tell you they break down everything. And Emergency Awesome is also another one that they talk about everything. And Berlu says, "You're gonna remember the Talking Heads. They were actually have some great songs. So yeah, they were great." And yeah, Unicorn agrees. And Keith E says, "Talking Heads and Men in Hats uh, should come back for a concert." Oh, cool. Yeah, and we can dance. Unicorn says, "Yes." I play that song every single day at work, and once in a lifetime. And Brogu says, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. I think everybody's ready to head out. And so, what I will do is, and Kitty says, I think you need to to end this by crossing your arms when you fly away, because that was Ahsoka's dance for a long time. But listen, she she's not doing it so much now at the end of the story. It's very interesting how the story got good when she stopped uh when she stopped crossing her arms so much. And Unicorn Rampant Studio says, the Terminato, a tornado of Terminators. Ooh, interesting. Yeah. Sharknado. Like I love Sharknado. That it's so silly. Um and Brogu's watching Terminator, and it says, here, Terminator, here I come. All right, well, I am going to end the stream today, and I'm going to go. There are some things that I highlighted here that I'm going to go back and highlight in during the outro of the stream. Oh, you know what oh no, forget it. My brain is like so this Friday we are going to continue the let's see what it is that we're continuing this Friday. Give me a few moments just to set this up. We are looking at the best family animated movies from 1990 to the present day. Know that it's not the most, for some people it may not be like the best, thing, because it's breaching into more modern stuff, but I think there are quite a few interesting animated movies that actually have some good merit to them. If not, you can, it's a great place to get recommendations for good animated movies. Then on Saturday the 7th, we'll be doing a watch party for The Mummy, and that is the 1999 version with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and it's so good. I love that movie. It was To me, it was such a surprise. I didn't think I was going to like it, and just absolutely loved it, loved it, loved it. All right, guys. Without further ado, I bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next video.
Retro Nerd Girl, you are clear for takeoff.